Hey, Kauai, how you doing? I'm just getting the room set up. Give me just a minute. If y'all want up, go ahead and hit that request, and I'll bring you up. I'm just getting started, getting the room set up. Stickers. Today's conversation is about intersectionality. Blam. Tonight's topic. There you go. Making dinner. Ooh, what you making me? I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I don't expect you to make me nothing. Let me throw some music on real quick. Hi, Lisa. Hey, one pissed off. How you doing? Oh, I don't know what the rest of your name is. It's too long. Kauai, what you making for dinner? I'm actually genuinely curious. I haven't eaten in a couple of days, so I'm absolutely interested. Hi, Lisa. How's it going? Welcome to Interviewing Humanity. I am Sludge Knuckle. If you'd like to come up and participate in the interview, please go ahead and throw a guest request up, and I'll bring you on up. Chili Whip. Cool. Nightfall of Diem. Nice. Orthodox Brother. What's up? That's cool. You know what's really funny is I've actually seen a few folks who are former MAGA doing some like recovery shit, like actually coming to their senses and being like, this was a terrible thing, and I'm sorry for voting for a Newtsy, which I think is beautiful. I think it's fantastic. I mean, it's a little, too late to make too many changes, but I'm glad to see the reform. Hey, Debbie, how's it going? Uh, I like it when people come to their senses about some shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's hey Tina, I'm gonna bring you up. Well, I'm gonna send you the invite to come up.
Hi, lovely. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, that's good.
Finally,
That's
we've
good.
managed to catch each other.
I know, right? I keep trying to go live at the same time. At least I have this week, like trying to go live around the same time between 7 or 8. But you know what I do for a
My
living.
sleeping patterns have been way off this week. Just because obviously with my cat going missing and I didn't sleep for 48 hours, it's just my sleeping patterns are way off.
Oh yeah. Well, today's conversation, or if you're interested in participating, today's conversation is about intersectionality, which I think you kind of like definitely fall into that marginalized group that gets overlooked section.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Does that sound like something you'd
That's
want to do?
interesting. Yeah, yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Okay. I want to get some more folks up in here. So if we can get some more likes going on, some shares, I want to get some more folks from some varying different communities so that we can have a conversation about intersectionality.
How have you been doing recently anyway?
I'm struggling. Having a hard time making pet food and human food happen. Plus, I need to get my bus maintained so that I can head towards Colorado and get some things taken care of. But other than that, I've done a good job of getting a majority of the folks who are left over in this town out of this town into safer places. Um,
Do you have
there's
like
a,
a PayPal or something that I can
I do, I do. I have
uh
PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Chime, like all kinds of stuff.
right. So we don't. So in the UK, Venmo and Cash App are not a thing. I
Really,
don't know if Chime is a thing. But if you message me your PayPal stuff, I can
everything
send some
everything
stuff
I got is
towards
this.
it.
Everything I've got is under the same name. It's all Sludge Knuckle.
Okay, perfect. And there's nothing after the sludge knuckle or anything.
Nope,
Like no
just Sludge
symbols or
Knuckle.
anything like that. Perfect.
Nope, I will
Right.
be the only one. Which I found out recently because I've done like Googled my name all over the place. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to know what I'm about and like actually know what I'm about, just go ahead and get on Chat GPT and type in full comprehensive overview of Sludge Knuckle at TikTok, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about me, which I think is pretty cool. Some like
um
I've had people come in here and be like, "What are you about?" Like, I could spend an hour trying to tell you, but I don't like talking myself up, so just go to Chat GPT and it'll do it for me.
Sludge, you
Yes.
know how you sent me a message with someone like to do with someone who is also visually
Yeah.
impaired. I
Yeah.
didn't actually receive that message. I've gone and checked my messages.
Oh shit. Okay. His name was Joe. Oh, it was Joe MF Vibes.
Joe MFI. Okay.
MF Vibes. Yeah.
Okay. And vibes is
Joe
spelt
motherfucking
with
Vibes.
an S, not a Z, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Because I
Yeah.
know a
He's
lot of people spell it with a Z at the end or a Z.
Yeah. No. He's a pretty chill kid. He's from South Carolina. He went blind in May last year. Hey, what's up, Greg?
You say kid. How old is the dude?
I don't know, probably like 30 or something like that. I call everybody kid. You know, it's just kind of leftovers from my hippie days. You know, everybody's
Fair
a
enough.
kid, unless they're old heads, in which they're old kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. About the signal thing, I definitely did download the wrong signal.
Did you? Okay. Okay.
So the signal that I managed to download was a crypto app.
Oh. Huh. All
It's
right.
apparently I apparently can't get access to Signal Messenger.
Weird. That's strange. I've had other people from out there. What about WhatsApp? You got WhatsApp? I hate that. I hate that. I hate WhatsApp.
I've got
He is
WhatsApp.
away at the moment. Who's away doing what? At Lisa. He's away at the moment. Who's away at the moment? I'm not away. I'm right here. Marty McFly. Man, if you wouldn't mind coming up, I'd love to have you up here. We're talking intersectionality, and I do believe, being of the former persuasion you are, you definitely belong in this conversation. Please don't have left yet. He probably did. I don't know. People see the cat and they're like, no.
There's a cat on the
By the way,
screen.
Tina, my background image is an artistic depiction of a humanoid cat person wearing a black leather jacket, an anarchist shirt, and a black hood, holding an old school microphone. And it says
Oh, I love
interviewing
that.
humanity above their head.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Me with my 11 cats sitting here talking about intersectionality.
Yeah, most of my background images are pictures I've made of like humanoid cat creatures doing interview stuff. I love Pop Tarts joined. I love your name. I love Pop Tarts.
Hey.
Exasperated. Oh my god, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, so
how's your health doing in terms of like your back and stuff?
not all that great, but you know it's kind of hard to keep up with those things when you're poor. Like I've been focusing so hard on just trying to. Thank you very much. I do it all myself. I've been focusing so hard on trying to like sell artwork so that I can just like eat, that I haven't been able to do much of anything else. Like I'm out of cat food. I'm almost out of dog food. I
I'm
need like
focusing
hygiene
on.
shits. Like
So the gifts that I'm getting currently off TikTok are being put into a a separate account, specifically so that I can actually buy the stuff from the Royal National Institute for the Blind to send over to
yeah,
America.
fantastic.
We just need to figure out a way to do so.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get you in contact with that kid, that Joe kid, because he's a real sweet character. He hung out in my live for a while.
Hmm.
Not super soft spoken, but he doesn't like interrupt a bunch. He's real polite, real kind. He's in South Carolina. Um, and I know that the town he's in does have a large unhoused population, and I'm certain more than enough vision impaired folks out there that he could definitely facilitate. He works out a bunch. He supposedly is getting surgery, like a laser surgery kind of thing, to like blast the built up blood around his retina or whatever.
Mm.
So like, you know,
Do you know if he's
definitely something
diabetic
to
by
talk
any chance?
about. He is diabetic, yeah.
Right. The reason I asked that question is because people that have lost their eyesight from diabetes are the ones that tend to have their optic nerve bleeding.
Huh. Okay. That is good to
Um,
know.
so yeah.
What's up, Peace? Welcome in. Angelica, come on up. Yeah, I'm about to do an episode. I'd love to have some people in the panels here for discussions because, you know, I like discussion. I hate talking to myself.
Fortunately
Doing enough
for
already.
fortunately for Joe, if he's caught it early enough, there is still hope for him yet.
Hell yeah.
To regain his or some of his vision at least. Because I have a friend here on TikTok who was going through the same thing, and they caught it early enough to whereby he now has he has enough vision to be able to drive now.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool. All right, I'm going to run through my opening monologue real quick and kind of get the show started because I see people coming in and just kind of like dipping out. So I just want to get the things flowing a little bit. Well, welcome to Interviewing Humanity, everybody. I'm Sludge Knuckle. And tonight we're exploring a topic that's crucial to understand the complex world that we live in, intersectionality, and why it matters in both activism and daily life. Intersectionality isn't just a buzzword. It's a framework that helps us understand how overlapping identities and experiences create unique forms of discrimination or privilege, whether it's race, gender, disability, sexuality, class, or any other social category. No one lives with just one identity. Each of these factors intersects, shaping the way that we experience oppression and privilege. Understanding this complexity isn't just important for activists, it's essential for anyone who wants to create a fairer, more compassionate world. Tonight, we're breaking down what intersectionality is, how it affects different communities, and why acknowledging these overlapping struggles makes activism stronger and more inclusive. So let's get into it. What is intersectionality? Intersectionality was first coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989. It refers to how different aspects of a person's identity, race, gender, sexuality, disability, etc., intersect and contribute to unique experiences of oppression or privilege. Some examples: a black woman may experience racism differently than a black man, or a white woman due to her intersecting identities. A disabled queer person faces barriers that neither able bodied nor straight individuals will experience. And why is that important? Well, intersectionality helps us recognize that no two experiences of oppression are exactly alike. Policies or movements that don't account for intersectionality often leave the most marginalized people behind. So, Tina, when did you first realize that people's experiences with discrimination or privilege could be influenced by more than one aspect of their identity?
To be fair, I've living in the UK, I've been experiencing it essentially my whole life. I just didn't realize that I fell into that category. But the realization came more so when I became less abled, shall I say, sort of when
Yeah.
I lost my eyesight and started using a wheelchair and stuff, and the healthcare, when I needed the healthcare to prevent me from being in this situation, that's when I realized that my gender had a part to play in the lack of care that I was receiving, and the lack of attention I was receiving as a result, as well as the sort of responses I was getting to certain complaints to do with my health.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of so here in the UK especially, I don't know about America, but here in the UK especially, there's a firm belief within the medical systems that women can withstand a lot more pain.
Mhm.
And so when I was sitting there complaining about the pain, I was told that it was probably my mental health that was causing me to go into these hospitals and ask for attention because I wasn't receiving it at home because women can withstand more pain, and I must have been making it up if I was in that much pain. So, yeah.
All too common, actually. That very same thing does actually happen here in the United States. What about you, Angelica? When was the first time you realized that people's experiences with discrimination or privilege could be influenced by more than just one aspect of their identity?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. When did you first realize that people's experiences with discrimination or privilege could be influenced by more than one aspect of their identity? Hey, hold on, though. Damn, it's going really too fast. Quadrivium. The topic today is intersectionality in daily life and also activism. If you want to talk on it, go ahead and hit the request. I'll bring you on up. Go ahead, Angelica.
I don't really have an answer to that question.
Okay. Is it because you haven't quite experienced the things, or?
Yeah, more or less. Like I don't exactly like I understand the question, but like not really.
You don't have much to speak on it for a lack of experience?
Yes.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Well, this is a great place to hang out and just kind of learn some more about it. So feel free. And if you have anything you'd like to contribute or any questions, feel free to ask. Okay.
I think my most recent experience of intersectionality was, and it's gonna sound like, yeah, it's gonna sound ridiculous, but I went to a low vision clinic because they were trying to give me the options that I had with regards to like speaking, like talking watches and stuff of that nature. And when I was asking for directions from the receptionist at this low vision clinic, the dude was pointing and telling me over there. So I'm like, oh, so
Rude.
where's the waiting room? He's like, over there. So I'm assuming he's pointing at this point. But I walk with a cane on the days that I can walk, and it's a white cane, so you can see I'm blind. And he's still pointing, telling me over there.
Wow. How daft must you be? Oh my God.
At the end, he actually had to come out from behind the counter and help me. But yeah.
Oh, wow. That checks out for sure. Hey, if anybody would like to join up into the boxes and join the conversation, please feel free to throw up a guest request and I'll bring you on up. We have just started. I've got a few things to go through, and the conversation will take about 2 hours. So if you want to join in, have part of the conversation, please feel free. There is no wrong answer. There is no wrong perspective. So come on up. So this next part that I'd like to get into is about intersectionality in activism and why one size doesn't fit everybody. So some of the challenges of ignoring intersectionality with activism is that activist movements have a tendency to focus on one issue, like gender or race alone, and often fail to address the overlapping struggles that people face. And this has a tendency to alienate those whose experiences don't really fit neatly into a single category, which is why building inclusive movements is really important. Yet we have to recognize that multiple layers of oppression are faced by different individuals, depending on where they fall into these categories. And making space for voices that are often marginalized, including those from disabled communities, LGBTQ plus individuals, and people living in poverty, are really helpful in making sure that we cover the entire spectrum of what the problems are. Some real life examples include the Black Lives Matter movement. It addresses not just racial injustice, but also issues faced by queer Black individuals and women. Disability justice activists emphasize that ableism.
For a fucking cooler.
Cool.
They're recalling the cooler that we bought last year because.
We'll go ahead and mute you real quick so I can finish what I'm saying. Where was I? Oh yeah, disability justice activists emphasize that ableism intersects with racism, classism, and sexism in ways that amplify oppression. And that's why we have to talk about intersectionality, because the crossover that happens with oppression covers more people than just one specific section of folks. Thought I was muted. No, you weren't, but it's okay. It's okay. Um, Another thing that I think is really important for people to know, or at least talk about, is gatekeeping. So one of the things that happens a lot in activism is the gatekeeping that happens with resources and things. For those of you who don't know, gatekeeping refers to the control of access to resources, opportunities, or spaces by individuals or groups with power or influence. In activism, this can mean limiting who gets to speak, lead, or participate based on arbitrary or exclusionary criteria. And, for some reference on how gatekeeping harms movements, it excludes those with lived experiences of multiple forms of oppression. It reinforces existing power hierarchies within movements, and it can make marginalized individuals feel unwelcome or undervalued. Some examples of gatekeeping would be leadership roles in feminist movements being predominantly held by white cisgender women, leaving out women of color and trans women, or activist spaces that aren't physically accessible to people with disabilities. Even economic barriers like requiring unpaid labor or high membership fees that exclude low-income individuals. So to break it down, go ahead.
Sorry, but also limiting people's access to information as to the type of resources made available as well can also
Absolutely.
fall under gatekeeping.
Yeah.
So the reason I say that is to say this for the less abled people or the disabled people here in the UK, and I'm sure it happens in America as well. Once you are disabled or you've lost the ability in some way, shape, or form in your life, you're actually not made aware of the different channels that you can reach out to get support. You've got to kind of go look for that yourself. Which can actually be very, very difficult, which is why my TikTok is set up the way that it is, but so that I can sort of bridge the gap within that gate.
Absolutely. And honestly, thank you for mentioning that very specific phrase, bridging the gap. One of the things that I like to do, hey, what's up, Joe? One of the things I like to do is bridge said gap between different communities, which is why this is an open space for folks to come in and have these conversations. And matter of fact, I do have an episode drafted up about bridging the gap that I had intended on doing after the intersectionality episode, if people are interested in participating. I'm going to bring up Coyote Joe real quick. Joe, this is Tina. Tina is a pretty cool chick. She's from the UK. She's a blind individual who is also into activism for disabled rights and many other things. Go ahead and say hi, everybody.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing, Joe?
Good. I found an advocate to take my dogs, and he took them to San Francisco to the Black History Fair, and he's gotten rid of 2 of them so far. There's only 1 left, and I trusted him because he had no money. But I prayed and I asked my family few people to pray. So it's too coincidental that I asked the black folk to pray, and the black guy came and picked him up to take him to San Francisco for the Black Parade. I said, "Take him, nice. Right? I put it in God's hands."
That's fucking fantastic, man. It's fantastic.
My mom, on the other hand, she stalked him. She found out where he was, found out where he went. She did all the work for me. Get no money. I'm not going to go back. I was like, where were you when you were asking all these questions? All you got to do is be the third person and ask him questions. You failed your job.
That's cool, man. Well, I'm glad you had a good windfall like that, man. I know that was stressing on you a bit.
Yeah, I sold 1 and then I gave the other 3 away for $200, but my dog's already fixed, so it's all money in pocket. I'll leave it up to Christ the Lord. We're talking about intersection tonight.
We're talking about intersectionality tonight.
What is that?
Do you know what intersectionality is? Okay, let me run through it for you.
Sex okay? When you have sex at the intersection?
No. Let me just run through it. So intersectionality originally was first coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989. It refers to how different aspects of a person's identity, such as race, gender, sexuality, disability, etc., they intersect and contribute to unique experiences of oppression or privilege.
True.
For example, a black woman may experience racism differently than a black man or a white woman due to her intersecting identities. And a disabled queer person might face barriers that neither able-bodied nor straight individuals experience. And this is important because
as a large Hispanic man, yeah, I've experienced that as a large total. People are scared of me. But when I start
Yeah.
drooling, twist my feet like Kaiser Sose, and say, "Hi, my name is Alex," they're really nice.
Yeah.
Actually, anytime a
Intersectionality
woman
helps
yells
us.
at me,
Yeah. Intersectionality helps us recognize that no two experiences of oppression are exactly alike, and that policies or movements that don't account for intersectionality often leave the most marginalized people behind. Um, so, for you, when did you first realize that people's experiences with discrimination or privilege could be influenced by more than just one aspect of their identity?
well, when I was young, I used to go camping. So once we got out of the city, we went to the wilderness. We saw a way different vibe in the people there, and just the overall niceness because everybody's at the same campground between all colors that we didn't get in our cities. Also, I noticed because we would go to certain places around the Bay Area as kids when we would do field trips. Since I grew up in a very integrated area, but you saw the more privileged areas, you'd want to drive nicer. Also, as a con artist, I learned that you can't go into the nice shopping malls if you ain't dressed nice. They get you real quick. Plus, they get free bags at the big shopping malls. So we used to
Oh
clean
yes,
up, but we always knew.
a little background for the audience and a little background for you, Tina. Coyote Joe here is an ex-con.
Oh,
Yeah,
hi.
once a con, always a con. But now,
So with
now my only con is Jesus.
that, in terms of your obviously in terms of your history, do you feel like you're being treated differently as a result of your history as well? Because that can actually interfere, like that
Always.
comes under
I told
intersectionality
Sledge,
as well.
I paid for my time. I did. I paid for my penance. I've done the 5-year felony. I'm still treated like a criminal. They still had oppressive pew pew laws on me. They still had my record for 8 years held against me, even though I did my time. So what's the point of being rehabilitated? What's the point of doing the time if I'm still judged by the same crimes that happened 8 years ago? There's no leeway.
Right.
They're not looking at the last 3 years. They're looking at the last 8 years of your crime. And me being homeless, me getting a bunch of theft crimes, possessions, and a bunch of other stuff all stacked up real quick.
Yeah, Kawhi. I think we all believe that change and growth can happen, but I'm pretty sure he's referring to how the system and more privileged folks have treated him ever since.
Well, I've always known that if you got a lawyer, you're better off than a public defender. You're better off with a public attorney. And the lawyer, but his job is to ask a bunch of questions to get you relegated off or get you suspicion of being off. But, public defender got 15 minutes for 400 people and they ain't helping you at all. Never did once in my public defender say, hey, ask them to find your victim because you can't get charged for a crime in California without a victim. I got charged by the state probably 4 or 5 times illegally.
Man,
So Joe, do you feel like your race has had a part to play as well in the way that you're being treated? Do you feel
Oh
like someone
no,
from a different
no.
race would
My
be treated
criminality is
better
the
or
reason
worse?
why. Because I've talked my way out of plenty of tickets while having illegal substances on me. I've talked my way out of plenty of things. I got into a car crash one night and ran. The guy chased me down and pitted me and hit me up onto the road. My wife ran away, and I was on the side of the road, and I didn't get any tickets. They actually let me jump back in my car that was hit. They followed me home and got my driver's information, and then we traded information like that. But the dude vigilante chased me down, and he struck me with his car and pretended he had a pew pew, pretended to be an undercover cop. Neither of us got in trouble. I didn't get in trouble for the hit and run. He didn't get in trouble for the threatening a pew pew and hitting my car. We took
I
it through our
suppose
insurance.
I suppose the question that I intended to ask was, do you feel like someone from a different background, whether it be financial background or racial background, would have been treated
Yes.
differently in terms of
Somebody
their
with somebody with a
criminal?
lawyer, somebody with more money. I used to be on welfare and I didn't get cosmetic surgery on my arm. And then when I got onto Kaiser, I was able to get rehabilitatory surgery. On welfare, I cannot get pain pills. If I was on Kaiser, I get all the pain pills I want. Money is a huge factor in everything. It's not the color of your skin. It's who you know and how much money you got. Because the lady who was responsible for my accident, she went and got her husband after running me over, and her husband vouched for her, and she got in no trouble for a hit, run, and a flea. No trouble. They said, it's ice cream man's fault. How's the ice cream man's fault, ma'am? He didn't run me over. You did. Well, my husband got me off because he's the manager at Safeway. We just poor Mexicans, yeah. But if I had money, if I wasn't a poor Mexican, I was a rich Mexican. If I had a lawyer, well, we just sued the city. We just sued Safeway. We just sued them, and we just sued the ice cream company. We didn't have that option. My dad, except I was 16, so 22 at the time. My mom was 25. They didn't know what to do. They were working. They just had a daughter. But 18 years later, when my brother passes away, they knew exactly what to do because they
Do
went
you
through what they did.
feel if you were a if you were a white American, you would have been treated differently after you'd paid your penance and your time in jail,
If I was a white American, I might have
given
gotten
more
more leeway,
opportunities?
and I probably would have gotten less issue with the third party. But I did when I was younger get all the rehabilitation that most people did. It's just as I got older, you get focused out. Probably on the streets, I got focused out more. Anybody more than three people, which means four is a GAY
Yeah,
or a
sure.
GANG. Like, so these things they normally propagate against Hispanics and blacks. When I hung out with the white kids, they didn't care how many white kids we had skateboarding. They never called us the G word. I hung out with my friend and his girlfriend and my girlfriend, and now all of a sudden we're the G word. But I was in a rookie training state because Fremont is where all the rookies go from the Oakland Academy.
And that in
I
itself
forgot
is
about that.
Yeah, I didn't because we used to have three cops pull us over for riding bikes on the sidewalk. Like, damn, three deep.
Yeah.
We're a big city, And I found
Yeah,
out that
Everett,
John
Washington was
Fremont's the
about.
biggest Native American pew pewer of like them all in California.
Yeah,
Do you know
Everett,
what? With it,
Washington was about the same way. Go ahead, hon. Go ahead.
Washington has a
sorry.
syntax. That's awesome.
Even within the blind community, you experience intersectionality. So, um, I'm like we discussed this before, Sludge, but obviously I'm in touch with the Royal National Institute for the Blind, and we meet every week to sort of bring each other up and have a discussion for an hour, kind of thing. Talk about our week, just make ourselves feel a little bit more normal, if you like.
Yeah.
And I was discussing with them the sort of welfare system and how I'm struggling to be on the right benefits, the right social security, if you like, right? And I had a certain blind the fellow blind person on this group tell me that well, my only disability is being blind, and I should be able to work and stop scrounging off the government.
Wow.
So yeah. So
Wow.
even within even within the disabled community, you still have intersectionality. There's always someone who thinks they are more disabled than you. She
Hmm.
actually used the words. This person actually used the words. I have a friend who is more disabled than you, and she still works. To
Wow.
which I responded, obviously, you don't know my day to day life. You just know that I'm blind, and that's all you know about me. I don't like speaking about my struggles, but yeah, so you can't sit here and tell me I'm fit to work.
I've actually been disabled for a
Damn.
while, but I always still go to work. I have cases to be against work for my hip being destroyed, my left arm being hyperextended and never getting fixed, for my mental illnesses, and also for my my brain damage and my sleep apnea. I could be on SDI. I don't because if my body's still working, I want to still go out there. It gives me a purpose. But I could have gone the government route a long time ago and fought for that. And when I got all my paperwork, it just doesn't seem right to me. But that's because I'm from a proud family that taught us that we go out there with dudes that have short legs, one arm, like we work. We don't let anything stop us from working. We're workers, We don't know anything different. So
Sure.
it's a hard thing where if I was like couldn't see or had an ability where it would affect me day to day, but my eyes are good, my feet are good, my two hands are good, and my pains are just natural. So I medicate and move on. Because when I'm on the streets, there's no, I gotta work. I gotta work for mine. So I can't sit around. And I've met guys who've blown out their knees, been into it, go, I got a Spain. You think I like it? I said, nah, but I can't do it, brother, because I can still move. It makes me cry, makes me feel bad. I'd rather go do something illegal, at least earn my pay. Like, maybe it's pride, maybe it's because I'm already on the government system. I don't want more handouts. I want to be off of this system. This system keeps me trapped in it. It keeps me so broke. Even Walmart starts subsidizing. Like you go to Walmart and they'll subsidize your paycheck with food stamps. Well, how do I pay rent?
So I got a question. Something that will be addressed in a later episode. But I have a question for you. Why is it that you feel, and I already know the answer to this question, but for the audience, why is it that you feel that the system that offers things like disability income and things like that keeps you trapped?
Because it gives you just enough money to be poor, but not enough money to ever save or start making money. So it's a system that traps you in the low income. And then as things get more expensive, they give you subsidization. But the subsidization, once again, keeps you trapped in this income. Even my
Well,
father
I
told me,
mean, but
I
but
don't
but
want to get
can't you
gay
like
because
earn
it puts
money
me
on
on the
the
list.
can't you earn money on the
No.
side and like
I
go
mean,
ahead, go ahead.
possibly on SDI, but not when you're retired. Like when you're retired, you can, but you're not. You're supposed to report any income that you get on the side because it's taken out of your overall. You only have a $1,600 a month budget. Anything that falls under over that, they take away benefits.
Hmm. The
So
reason I want
for us, it's quite
go
similar
ahead, Katie.
here in the UK. Sorry, for us, it's quite
You're
similar
good.
here in the UK, whereby you get your disability your disability payments. If they find out you're working at all, that's it. Your disability payment gets taken away from you. And I don't know. You said something about $1,600.
Yeah,
We
1,600 gross. That's not even with the
yeah.
taxes.
So
I actually got a fraud case against me for embezzling $1,400 of EBT because while I was working poor, and I just wrote that I wasn't working, even though I was in the middle of working. So I collected money illegally, and they put a fraud case against me.
the
That's
net
fraud. That's fraud
possible
and perjury.
the
I had to
net
pay
the
them back in
net
physical money for food money.
So the net payment for disability here in the UK is just short of £700 a month, and that's got to pay for your groceries, it's got to pay for your bills, and it's got to pay for your rent. You've got to figure it
Yep.
out.
Yep.
So I completely understand what you say when you say it traps you within the system because you don't have any money to save. You're barely making ends meet, so you've got to budget everything so well.
And don't have any accidents because then you're screwed. Like don't have any
Fortunately for us
emergency
here in
stuff
the
come up.
UK, we have, fortunately and unfortunately for us in the UK, we have the NHS, which is free healthcare. However, we
Yeah,
also know
we have
that the
universal health care,
NHS
but
with
it
their
sucks.
we know that the NHS with their free healthcare also have a lot of shortfalls that cause a lot of people to become more disabled or cause them a lot more pain and grief. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't even get pain medication in the ER unless I tell them I'm at a 10 pain level. You know what a 10 pain level is to me? That's dying. I can walk around on 9 pain level all day. Like, I gotta be basically out of commission for a 10, but I gotta tell them if I want any relief. Because all they do is send you home with Tylenol 3, which is Tylenol's horrible for you. Aspirin's horrible for you. They don't care.
Also, wasn't there a case in America recently with the Tylenol where it had to be recalled completely
Yep.
because they found something like did they find cyanide in the Tylenol?
Oh, they find a bunch of stuff in there. That stuff is horrible for you. That stuff is worse for you than drugs. Drugs. I mean, it's really bad. It backs you up and messes you up.
Yeah, but there was
But
a
they tell
point
you
where
take Bear for
people
your heart when your knees go out. Like it's not a great system.
there was a point where people were dropping like flies because of their because of taking one Tylenol tablet because they found cyanide in them. So they had to
That's
be
the reason
completely
why they put the
recalled.
cotton in them because somebody put something in them before. They have an open bottle. You just open them up and you can mess with them. But that was in the
Ah.
'60s. So that's why they put that little cover over them. And if they're broken, you got to turn them in. And they put that cotton in there because somebody had messed with them and put stuff in them that got people sick in the '60s. But you know, if I was somebody out somewhere else, I might have better care. I might have better things. As I told the host before, you know, Colorado has a universal income for homeless people or people under poverty line, and they have a good medical system. Colorado's a nice place. You know, they're very, very liberal, and they help the people out there. Plus, they don't want their streets full of people that don't look well because they're a very tourist place. Beautiful country right here, though.
All right. So, another thing that comes after that first bit of questioning, why intersectionality in activism is important. It's because moving beyond single issue solutions is also very important. Taking a phone call, hey man, MoonClan, just as soon as you're done, come on back. Your input on this topic is also very important. It's about intersectionality. Activist movements that focus solely on one aspect of identity, like race, gender, or sexuality, can inadvertently marginalize those who exist at the intersections of multiple forms of oppression. When movements ignore intersectionality, they risk perpetuating exclusionary practices by prioritizing the most privileged members within a marginalized group. Hey, no worries, bud. So, you know, one of the ways that we can combat that is by creating truly inclusive movements. Recognize the multi-layered oppression faced by individuals with intersecting identities. Ensure marginalized voices, including those from disabled communities, trans individuals, and people living in poverty, are centered in leadership roles. Oh, hey. Come on up, buddy. Everybody meet MoonClan. MoonClan's awesome, living down in Florida.
Hey Moon, how you doing, darling?
I know you. Hi, my friend.
Yeah, I've spoken to you before. How you doing?
So
Yes, I
Clam
am
Aqua Gang
fairly
Gang.
fine, thank you. Coyote, it's a pleasure to meet you too. Um, Please ask the question, Sludge Knuckle, and I'll be glad to put my input on it for you, brother. And
Oh,
if I don't understand, I'll
I'm
ask
still
you
running
to.
through some. Yeah, I'm still running through some examples. We're talking about intersectionality right now, and right now it's the topic is intersectionality in activism. I got a couple more things to mention, then I'll pose a question.
Gotcha, brother. All right, I got like
All right,
15
cool.
minutes for you, buddy.
All right, cool. Some real world examples of intersectional activism. As I had mentioned before, the Black Lives Matter movement recognizes the unique challenges faced by queer Black individuals, women, disabled Black people, and making its platform inclusive across multiple marginalized identities. Disability justice activists emphasize how ableism interacts with other forms of oppression, such as racism, poverty, and sexism, to exacerbate social inequality. And then there's gatekeeping in activist spaces. Well, first, what is gatekeeping? Gatekeeping involves controlling access to opportunities, leadership roles, or space, often based on arbitrary or exclusionary criteria. And in activism, this manifests when certain individuals or groups dominate conversations or limit who can participate in decision making processes. And this undermines inclusivity because it excludes those who have lived experiences of compounded oppression. It reinforces existing power imbalances and maintains hierarchical structures within movements. And it also marginalizes voices that challenge the dominant narratives of the movement. Oh shit! Thanks for the thank you for that, man. Thanks for the subscription. I appreciate that.
Love your work,
So,
man. And you know you're
thank
worth
you,
the
man.
359.
I appreciate you, bud. So breaking down gatekeeping, what does that take? Well, we have to foster open spaces where marginalized voices are actively included. We have to ensure diverse leadership that reflects the full spectrum of identities within a movement. And we have to prioritize physical, economic, and linguistic accessibility. Period. Hey, that's cool. How can activists, this is the discussion topic for everybody, how can activist spaces create an environment where diverse voices are heard without being tokenized? Yeah, asking the hard questions.
That's a hard one, yeah, because any event you get with multiple people is going to be tokenized or it's going to be geared towards something, even in the center square, right?
It can be
I mean,
tokenized, but it doesn't have
you
to
got to
be.
gear it towards something.
Yes, equity.
Okay.
Yes, Stephen Wilk. I am a cat person. Get your verbiage right. let me rephrase the question. How can activist spaces create a more inclusive environment that that allows for all marginalized voices to be able to be heard?
Ah,
I don't know if you could actually, because not all marginalized voices get along, right?
That doesn't matter.
From the disability point of view, and here in the UK, a few years back, there was one of the members of parliament was actually blind, and used to make his speeches and make his pleas to the government, obviously, with his guide dog. However, it's the one mistake that he made was sort of fudging up some paperwork deliberately to bring a woman he fell in love with from a different country over here to the UK. This has actually demonized the rest of our disabled community and the access that they can have to certain roles within Parliament and within governmental roles.
Okay. There's information I did not have. Coyote Joe, you just made it
as
to level number 5 membership. Thank you very much, man.
as for to make it a possibility to break down the walls and gatekeeping and make it more of a fair situation, right? As per saying, I would say approach it with an open mind, no or less, right? And the willingness to hear people's perspective, and the willingness to come to a fair middle ground.
Absolutely. That actually ties in with the topic from yesterday, which is bridging the gap.
So here in the UK, we have something called the Equality Act of 2010. It puts marginalized groups in under a protected class. So certain races, disabilities, genders, etc., within a protected class, right? But that in itself, I understand that they're trying to sort of allow sort of more access to certain things like the workplace, whereby under the Equality Act of 2010, if you have a disability, the workplace has to adhere to your disability and make adjustments. However, what it's actually doing, and it can backfire, is it's actually separating those that are under those protected classes a lot more from the rest of society, and it's marginalizing them a lot more. It's putting them in a class of their own and sets them aside for further discrimination. So it works both ways.
It does. It does indeed. Hey, Red Ace, how's it going? Feel free to come on up if you want. We're having another discussion. Just
Well,
remember,
if I may,
mind your business. Go ahead, bud.
kind of talk about this subject a little bit more in depth. If
Yeah.
if it's no system is perfect in the beginning of its makings, right? It took people years and years and years to come up with the wheel, for an example, right? So the same thing goes with that. It's a start. You know, any start is better than no start.
Correct. All movements have to start somewhere. But you know the
I
thing
wish
about
reality TV was a no start. It ruined TV for
yeah,
me.
me too. The thing about no system being perfect, you are correct. However, we have the opportunity to learn from the past and make adjustments to future systems or whatever to make sure that we are being inclusive and making sure that we are bridging that inclusivity and intersectionality that is needed for the equity that we want to have as a society. Period. You know, it was under.
Unfortunately,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you first. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, so I understand what you're saying. However, unfortunately, with the Equality Act of 2010, it's actually being used, it's being weaponized by the likes of the government and Parliament here in the UK, in terms of telling disabled people that they're no longer disabled and like they're not disabled enough to not be working or to not have certain access to certain things that otherwise would be given to a more disabled person, if you will, or someone of a different race or something. Do you know what I mean? So, for instance, and you know about this, Sludge, because I spoke to you about it right after it happened. But for instance, so someone with a disability here in London is given something called a Freedom Pass, which allows them to travel on public transport free of charge. Now, myself being disabled in use of a wheelchair as well as completely blind, so I walk with a cane on the days that I can walk. I got onto a bus and tapped my Freedom Pass on the bus to pay for my fare, or basically have the driver acknowledge that if there is an emergency, I'm on the bus. The driver recalled me as I was moving past the area where the driver was at, and confiscated my Freedom Pass and told me I wasn't disabled enough because I didn't appear disabled enough to the naked eye because of my age. And so she confiscated the Freedom Pass and told me that if I wanted to get on the bus, I'd have to pay for the bus ride or fuck off, were her exact words.
Did you get her
So,
job?
yeah, I got her job. I haven't
Good.
got the card though.
Yeah. Fuck that lady.
But this is
So,
what I'm saying. So it does put you in even more of a difficult situation. So I hear what you're saying. However, it can be very, very, very difficult, and it can work just as much against you as it can work alongside you.
oh, absolutely. And I would like to point out that the only difference between our government and your government currently is location. That's
Oh yeah, no, I know this.
simply about it. Like if your government isn't very loudly and very prominently and very aggressively speaking out against what is happening here in the United States, they are the same government. That goes for the rest of the world, by the way. This is how fascist regimes consolidate power. They make allies in different nations, make them all the same government, just so everyone's aware. KP Art Photography. Hey, how's it going? So let's kind of shift it up a little bit. Recognizing intersectionality in daily life, recognizing complexity beyond the concept of activism. So privilege isn't absolute. It's situational and can coexist within oppression in different areas of life. For example, a wealthy disabled person may experience barriers due to their disability while still benefiting from financial privilege that eases some obstacles faced by others in their community. So a way to amplify overlooked voices is to make a conscious effort to listen to those whose experiences differ from your own, right? Or create spaces for meaningful dialogue that doesn't center on the dominant perspective, right? And some practical steps towards intersectional awareness would be like reflecting on how your own identity shapes your experiences and perspectives. And challenge biases, both internalized and societal, by educating yourself through books, films, and community conversations, specifically community conversations. And support organizations actively working to dismantle systemic oppression across multiple identities. So what privileges do you hold that may influence your understanding of oppression, and how can you use that awareness to become a better co-conspirator?
Who are you looking at starting?
Anybody. This is an open discussion.
Okay. For me, there's multiple things actually. I hold a dual nationality. So I was born here in the UK. My parents aren't from the UK. They are from North Africa. This is both a privilege and a disadvantage, as well as obviously having my disability, yes, on a day-to-day basis is a disadvantage. However, it can also be a privilege in many ways. The way I explain that to people is, for instance, with the card that I was talking about that got confiscated, it allows me to travel for free on public transport. With what's happened, obviously, it's a disadvantage, and the reason I was given it, obviously, is because of my disadvantages. However, it doesn't only apply to that card. It also means I get 144 free travels in a cab that's of something like 10 miles down the road a year, right? Someone without the disabilities wouldn't have that. Or the disabilities of mobility wouldn't have that, right? In terms of parking, we get something called a blue badge, so that so if someone's driving with you in the car, they can park closer to where you need to be, so that you don't have to walk further than you have to be able to get into the car. Right. But that's also an advantage. In terms of my dual nationality, the reason I say it's both an advantage and a disadvantage is because, yes, it's an advantage whereby if I needed to escape the country for any reason, I can seek refuge in my own, in North Africa and be fine. However, it also means that I am discriminated against for the color of my skin and on a day-to-day basis, because I'm not seen as fully British. There was a situation with my sister who holds the same dual nationality, where she was taken off a bus after coming back from a football game, taken off a train while she was coming off a football game by police, for no fault of her own, just because there were some people at the football game who exhibited certain behavior. And when the police officers had asked her where she was from, and they asked her for her ethnicity, she told them she was British. What they actually put down on the stop and search paperwork was that she was North African. And they had two male officers search her rather than a female officer search her. So
Excuse me?
that alludes to her being discriminated against for her ethnicity as well as her gender. and the clothes that she was wearing, her faith. So yeah.
That is disgusting behavior. That is disgusting behavior. Shame. Shame on those officers. Shame.
And she
Oh
was
my God.
16 at the time. She was 16 at the
Oh,
time.
fucking shame. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did their jobs get taken?
No.
Of course.
Well,
Moon
if we
Clan,
can
do you have a? Go ahead.
if we could talk about ways to bring awareness to, is that what you're speaking on, those terms, to bring awareness to it, and to also I'm just trying to understand how to properly phrase the answer. Re-ask the
There's no
question.
improper way.
Okay.
The question was, what privileges do you hold that may influence your understanding of oppression, and how can you use that awareness to become a better co-conspirator?
Okay, gotcha. My awareness for oppression and to become more verbally aware of it. Gotcha. Well, one is having a peaceful protest can make people aware of it because it brings it to the public. It calls out the issue. It calls it out publicly. That's one
Well,
way of doing it. Another way,
let's backpedal just a little bit. So to start the question off, which the more important part of this question is, what privileges do you yourself hold that may
oh,
or may not influence your understanding of oppression, and how can you use that awareness to be
My
a
lack of
better
the second
co-conspirator?
language or my lack of fluent Spanish makes other Hispanics say I'm not Spanish enough because I'm American and they call me güero and say my accent is gringo. That hurts.
That is definitely
Every
that is
cooking job
definitely a
I ever
disadvantage
had,
for sure.
it's yeah, because of my privilege that I didn't have. I didn't learn two languages because I only needed one language, and I didn't. And my
Good
mother
example.
wasn't traditional, so she didn't force that upon me. So when I work in the back of a kitchen where I'm stereotyped, I'm the odd man out because I don't know Espanol. Órale, unu pinchento. So I became a leader in the front, so I could tell them, "Ándale, ándale, come on, mucha chuga, too much trabajo, mucho dinero, come on." Too much work,
Oh
too
my
little, too
God.
little money. Come on, too much talking. So I had to learn from the top side how to talk to them in little broken phases, like basically Spanglish, but in reverse.
Oh, that's a person whose input I would love to have. Pani Ote. Oh yeah, please come
Oh
on
yeah,
up.
police. Dude, tell me, I've been wronged by the cops a few times.
But it
I
also
just
means that with the experiences that we've had, it also means that we can reach out to people or assist people with the same disadvantages or similar disadvantages to what we have, and advise them from through our own experiences, so they learn vicariously.
Absolutely.
The scenario that it's not a scenario, the event that I discussed before where my sister was stopped and searched by two male police officers, they didn't take her into the back of the car, they didn't do it in a private area, they did that directly on a train station platform, in front of everyone.
Wow.
So vicariously through them, it was, there was a negative lesson taught through that, whereby you're not free to wear what you want, you're not free to practice any faith that you want, and you're going to be stereotyped. But it also meant that people learned how to approach the police a lot better and speak to them a lot better. My sister was 16, and so did get a little irate when they started searching her, because I mean, understandably, but still.
Yeah,
my
it definitely raises a bit of a concern for sure. What's that, Moon Clan?
my disadvantage is I don't come from a very wealthy family, right? I come from a very
Okay.
poor family, and I was always into these schools where the upper class people would look down upon us and say that we don't matter if we don't have money, we don't have a voice in what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my disadvantage. Also, being dyslexic, not being able to publicly read as well as the person next to me or as fluently. So I was always looked upon as undereducated, and taken as something like that. Line. Best way I can describe it.
Okay. I mean, that definitely makes sense. Coming from a place of a learning disability and whatnot, and poverty. Yeah, absolutely, Coed. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. We're talking intersectionality today. If you have anything you'd like to contribute, please do. Conversations in the chat are perfectly acceptable.
One
Am
last
I
thing
okay?
that you
Just
know,
am I okay to just give a
dyslexia
word of
and mental illness is a thing that really affects criminals because they don't know they have it sometimes. They're not diagnosed, and then you go through court papers. It's very confusing. They have all these questions, all this no contest, no way, all these different litigations. Do you understand this stuff? Like, you even have to say that you're of sound body and mind when you don't even know what sound body and mind is. You've never been tested for these things because you never had money.
Absolutely.
Am I
Absolutely.
okay
What
to
were you saying,
just
Tina?
offer a word of encouragement, please?
Please, yeah.
Just to let you know, for those of you who are dyslexic, I don't know who it was that said that. So I
Me, I'm
apologize.
both dyslexic.
Yeah. In terms of dyslexia, I do understand. I'm dyslexic myself. It is incredibly difficult to get by on a day-to-day basis. However, what you need to realize is that doesn't define you as a person. And Albert Einstein, for actual fact, was actually dyslexic, and he was an absolute genius. So don't take that as obviously take that as you will. Don't allow that to control you. Let yourself realize that dyslexia is a part of you, but it's not you as a person.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you for that.
I don't let it define me because I've learned to just accept it, and I've learned to apply my dyslexia to my advantage.
That's beautiful.
How so?
Well, book on tapes, man. Gotta love them. And if you slow them down
Absolutely.
enough, they can teach you letter by letter, words by words, the oohs and the who's, and your e's and your a's, and you eventually hear the audio part of it. If it's repeated
I
to
use
you
my
enough
AI
times.
for all my stuff. I use my AI for my
Nice.
my punctuation, my rephrasing, everything. And I even like throw like a twist and like make me sound like a pirate. This way I no longer
Absolutely.
have run on sentences forever with a bunch of messed up things in them. And I use text to talk. I don't use any spelling because I can't spell tons of things, but I know a bunch of words. Can't spell a lot of them.
There are a lot of things that you can learn. So, for example, the word necessary is spelt with one collar and two sleeves, one C and two S's.
Hey,
So
Huh?
things like that.
I
The
like
word
that.
It's like
I like
necessary.
Mississippi, M to the I to the crooked letter I to the crooked letter, humpback I to the crooked letter I. Don't give me that. That's crazy.
So the way I learned how to spell necessary is remembering that it's on a shirt. There's one collar and two sleeves, so that's one C and two S's. So the word necessary has one collar and two sleeves, one C and two S's.
I like that.
My
I
father
like
is
that a
fat
lot.
her.
Music,
Fat her.
So-
believe it or not,
So I'd like to
There's Mary
switch things up a
Poppins.
little bit, if that's okay.
Sure.
What's that, Moonclan?
Said Mary Poppins helped me a lot.
Absolutely.
That's all I have.
Yeah,
to say.
absolutely.
Spoonful
Absolutely.
of
Okay,
sugar
so I'd
doesn't
like to
make the
switch things
medicine
up
go
just a little
down.
bit. I want to talk about intersectionality and self-care, which is about navigating multi-layered oppression. So why intersectional self-care matters. Individuals who belong to multiple marginalized communities face higher rates of stress, burnout, and mental health struggles. Self-care for those facing intersectional oppression isn't just about relaxation, it's also about survival and reclaiming autonomy over one's well-being. Something that we have to do to be able to facilitate things like that is build inclusive support networks, establish spaces where individuals can share experiences without fear of judgment or dismissal, kind of like here. And we also have to encourage community care practices that recognize the specific needs of different identities. So, what role for y'all does self-care play in creating sustainable activism for your intersectional community?
I'm
You
sorry,
know,
you're gonna that for me and break it down to a smaller pieces for me. I don't understand.
I will. Okay, so in the terms of self-care, based off of the intersecting identities that you have, such as learning delays, poverty, things like that, and for the rest, ethnicity, disability, the different intersecting communities you're part of. How does self-care, or what role does self-care play in creating sustainable activism for you?
Well, I'm a proponent of not victimizing, and because of my head trauma in my life, I'm also an expert at dealing with these traumas and pushing through them. So I tell people, don't feel like you can't. Learn how to work around your problem and make your problem work for you. You also know I advocate to giving people on the streets who are very, very down on their luck food, cigarettes, and other things, even though they might be under the influence or on stuff. I don't judge on that. I also spread Jesus to people who are mentally ill or who are crying. A lady was crying about the halo. She can't hear the trumpets no more. And I explained to her and I reminded her and affirmed in her through her religion that she'll be okay. Let her listen to some music on my phone and she had a good day. So, I mean, I'm a criminal, but I'm still a person. I'm still an uncle. I'm still a man. I still have a heart. I still believe in Christ and Lord. So I have to live my life accordingly. I can't be burdened by my past, for that's my past. This is my present. So I try to do as much good as I can because I remember there was a time where I did as much bad as I can. These things help me balance, and these things help me bring understanding to my cause and to my people because we're not bad people. That's why we've been rehabilitated. Don't give up on us because you think our record means that's us. It doesn't.
Two things. So firstly, I just want to address you may have committed a crime or multiple crimes in the past. That doesn't make you a criminal. We learn to hate the act, not the person that committed the act.
I love you.
But second thing, in terms of self-care and activism, my way of self-care is to make sure that I've got my mental health up to scratch and I can deal with my stuff, right? And in turn, that actually helps with me raising awareness about late stage blindness and you know what I do on TikTok, Sludge, but for those that don't know, I raise awareness about certain disabilities, mental health, late stage blindness, the support that you can get out there. And the way that I do it is through humorous stories about myself, anecdotes, etc. If I didn't take care of my mental health and attend these seminars maybe once a week for a couple of hours, I wouldn't actually have the ability to come on TikTok and be able to address these certain topics with the same fashion that I am able to. So I think that's how I would answer that question.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Moon Clan, you got anything?
Yes, a person that I'm going to add on to the criminals thing because that was a beautiful subject to bring up. Just because you made a mistake does not make you a bad person. All right, it's what you do after you have served your time and done your duties that defines you as a person. All right, you're loved regardless by people. And if they cannot see you for what you have on a piece of paper from your past that you served that time for, I'm sorry, that's their loss. As for me, I tend to bring people together through positivity. I use my dyslexia to, as an example, to break barriers. Because if I open up something personal about me, I can learn something personal about you. Therefore, we can connect on a deeper level. And through positivity and bringing people up.
Joe, got anything you want to respond with?
Oh no, I was looking to see what Legally Blind was. I guess in one more full negative drop since I have astigmatism in both my eyes, and I'm already at negative 4.5. I will be legally blind at negative 5.5. That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Be blind by 40, 45-ish.
Um,
I'll have
like
glasses. I'll be able to see, but without my glasses, yeah, it'd be a wrap. Can't see another 50 meters from my face.
in terms of you becoming legally blind, if you need any support or anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is what my entire premise on TikTok is. So if you need any help or whatever around accessing certain things, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Absolutely. Yes, if you are struggling with the possibility of being vision impaired in any way, or you currently are, please do reach out to Undefined Enchantress. They are a great advocate and honestly probably one of the best people you can talk to about the situation.
I'm hoping by then
Also,
they'll have
if you're
robot
not following the
eyes.
people in
Come
my
on,
panels,
Elon. Robot eyes.
Also, if you're not following the people in my panels, you're doing yourself a disservice. These people are amazing. And also, chat, if you're not following each other, you're doing yourself a disservice. You guys are amazing. One major flaw I have is I come across as too open about things I've gone through. This is this is neurodivergent chat. You fit right in. No, you're good. No, we're all a little bit neurodivergent here. It's called when the sun makes everything white and you can't see it. You can't see to drive. That's called astigmatism. Yeah, no, I also have astigmatism. You can't really see it because I keep this background up, but I wear glasses because my vision sucks. I went 32 years not wearing glasses, driving around the country like a crazy person. And when I finally wore glasses, I kind of kicked myself in the ass continuously because how the hell did I manage to survive multiple years of driving around the country without wearing glasses? Turns out I can't. Turns out I can't see shit without them.
Well, at least when you do put them on, you can see stuff. I quite literally, and I'm going to
Well,
use this story to raise awareness on this panel. I hope you don't mind, but
go
I
ahead. Go
quite
ahead.
literally, I quite literally ate shit because I couldn't see the shit. So, essentially, we've got a chocolate here in the UK. It's like a caramel, like hard shell caramel, covered in chocolate called a Curly Wurly. Now I put it in the fridge, and when you take it out of the fridge, it's crumbly, right? I sat on my couch. I've got cats, and I didn't realize that one of my cats had an accident. So a bit of it crumbled off. I went to go and pick it up. I had a blocked nose, and I ended up eating shit instead of the piece that had fallen off onto the couch. So, like, yeah, you're you're doing a
You
little better
too,
than
but
I
my
am,
story
love.
is inappropriate.
You're
Well, wait
doing a
your
little
turn
better than
then.
I am, love. You can wear glasses and get to see the shit. I can't.
Tina, you're amazing. Is anyone here in North Carolina or Virginia or close? I need neuro buddies in real life. I know that myself and Coyote are on the West Coast. Tina is in the UK, and Moon Clan is in the deep South. But that doesn't mean we can't communicate with each other. You know what I mean? Hey, Diva, how's it going? Do you want to come up and contribute to the conversation? Feel free to send a request. I'll bring you on up.
Yes, I'm in the deep
Nice.
south of Florida.
Yep.
That's not the deep south. That's that weird shaped thing. We're gonna put a wall around that, once we drain that swamp.
That's right. Co-ed is from the West Coast. I did forget about that. Thank you for reminding me.
You are not taking away
if
my
anybody wants to come,
games.
We're taking away your iguanas. You're never gonna know it's cold.
No,
if anybody
that's
wants to
not
come
allowed.
up, please go ahead and hit that guest request. I'll bring you up. Please feel free to come join the conversation. I just request that people are respectful of each other's time and space, and just flat out respectful of each other. I appreciate it. Also, I'm going to go ahead and just throw out there, if anybody would, or if you all wouldn't mind, just go ahead and spamming the like button. See if we can't get me up to like 10K, so let's push this out to the FYP. I am going to start the second subject of tonight's conversation here shortly after we finish up the discussions. Hey, Diva, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Of course,
Hey,
of
Diva.
course.
Hello.
So,
How is everyone tonight?
would you mind doing well? Would you mind, giving some examples of when you first became aware of how multiple aspects of identity could shape someone's experience with privilege or oppression?
Oh, geez. Of my own experience?
Sure.
Or like things that I have witnessed from other people?
Whichever works and whichever you're more comfortable with.
Okay, can you dumb it down for me just a bit? Because I had to look up
Sure.
the definition.
So we're having conversations about intersectionality. Do you know what that is?
Not entirely. If you don't mind explaining it to me, that way I
Yeah,
can get a
I
better
got
idea
you. I
of how
got
to
you.
respond. Thank you.
So it was originally coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989. It describes how various aspects of a person's identity, such as race, gender, sexuality, disability, and socioeconomic status, things like that, overlap to interact to shape their lived experiences. And it highlights how systems of oppression like racism, sexism, ableism, classism, things like that, don't operate in isolation. Instead, they intersect to create complex forms of discrimination that are often overlooked when analyzing oppression through a single lens. Some examples, if that helps. A black
Yeah.
woman doesn't just experience racism and sexism separately. She faces a unique form of discrimination by the intersecting of those two identities.
Oh, geez. That's hard to answer. I'm sorry. I wish I was more prepared with my responses.
No, that's
I
okay. It's
can
okay.
um can I just say that oh, geez. I should have been more prepared. I am so sorry, Sludge.
No, you're okay. You don't have to
I can
apologize. There's no wrong
I can
answers
always
here.
drop. Well,
No.
I mean,
No, if it makes it easier, an example to back what Sludge said up is black women are more likely to be unalive during childbirth because it's seen that they're seen as being able to withstand more pain than a white woman is during that stage of her life.
so
So they're
essentially is
less
that
likely to be given pain relief. So yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, one's lived experience, like through oppression, is that like saying that people believe that one's more susceptible to certain types of discrimination and things like that because of who they are?
Not so much more susceptible, more so that you experience different forms of oppression that kind of converge on each other.
Like my privilege
Like
oppression thing was because I'm first generation. When I work in the back with more traditional Hispanics, I'm outcasted, or they think I'm less than because I don't speak fluent Spanish or Spanish at their tongue level. I'm a learner.
Okay.
yeah, or like disabled queer immigrants face compound challenges. You know what I mean?
Like how they would treat you if you were too flamboyant at a, Republican conference.
Yeah.
Or it can be an example such as this: I suffer from dyslexia. I was treated differently in school. I was considered not as smart, like something along those lines. It could be really something that puts you at something at a disadvantage through
Okay.
Being
circumstances.
very short, not getting
Yeah.
picked for basketball.
Thank you
Yeah.
for all
Exactly.
providing examples. I was kind of embarrassed because I wasn't prepared. So thank you for not passing any judgment. I really do
I'm
appreciate
never
that.
prepared.
This is a
I
this
wing
is a
everything.
this is a judgment-free zone here.
So I guess what I've observed, especially in my community, um, that there is someone like me that's a YT person, for example.
Hmm.
I feel like when it comes to certain open spaces, such as bars, clubs, things of that nature,
Hmm.
when I don't know if this is a good example, but if I pass through the door, it's because of privilege, being a YT person, but
Hmm.
also a queer person. I can get into said space without questions asked. There is
Hmm.
no if, ands, or buts about it. But I have gone into groups with my black queer friends, for example, and there is security outside. I have noticed an uptick in certain spaces where there are more there's more pat downs. There's more. It's more like a screening process for someone of color to get into an establishment simply because of the color of their skin or the way that they look. Um, and I think that is that a good example of something that I've
That is
observed?
actually, yeah, that is a very good
That's a
example. Thank you very much.
That's a
That's
brilliant
right.
example. I think the question I have for you, Diva, is
Yes.
do you reckon that the combination of let's say being for a person to be black and from the LGBTQ community, they're treated worse than let's say a black straight person?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've had multiple black queer friends of mine be in anguish, essentially, when they explain to me certain situations that they've encountered with certain individuals I mean, they have said, my friend Shelly, she's a black trans queer woman. And not only does she have being black, she said it's essentially like I have multiple barriers going against me. I have multiple things, targets on my back. And, for one, her being trans, two, her being black, three, she likes other trans women. And I definitely think that there is quite a divisive response when it comes to someone like her. And I pondered on this recently. There are a few establishments in the state of Michigan where I live that scream inclusivity right off the gate. They advertise it. It's in their videos on their social media platforms. And to say that an establishment that is predominantly queer and isn't, but you say it's inclusive, that's false advertising to me. When you have abhorrent behavior towards people, such as my black queer friends that just want to go into, excuse me, just had dinner, my bad. When they want to get into a space where they just want to dance and they just want to feel included and they just want to have the world from the outside kind of melt away and be surrounded by like-minded individuals. But the moment that they get to the entrance of said establishment, it's almost like they have that fear of being turned away because the protocols of getting them into that establishment are upped. And let me tell you, when I was waiting for my friends, I was like, what is taking so long? And I looked through the window of the front door and there they are getting patted down. The guy had to look at one of my black friends' IDs multiple times. He's like, is this fake? Is this? And then like I went outside and I'm like, they're searching for contraband and things. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why do I get to walk through the door and just glide past? But four of my friends that don't have the same skin color as I do are subjected. It's embarrassing. It's like exploitation. I don't know. It felt very invasive, and I felt that that establishment needed to be called out. That's why I tagged them in one of my posts on Facebook recently. I deleted it because it got quite controversial, but they have not shut down. They still have the same protocols, even with people that are of different nationalities. It's like, or races. I have a lot of friends that are in the Arab community, that are Middle Eastern, Asian. It's like, why do we have to dissect who someone is? Just let them in. If they're not doing anything, you know what I mean?
You see, when you said the multiple, your black queer friends who are also trans and into other trans women have said that they feel like they have multiple targets on their back.
Yes.
That's what intersectionality is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, and it's like I did have my ex-boyfriend of a few years that I dated. He would say all the time that he felt out of place because he was of mixed race, white and black. And I never really understood until he broke it down to me. And I think that was just me not being ignorant per se, just not completely understanding his point of view. And my, oh my, did I get an eye-opening
Was it by
experience.
family members who, was it like the white side said that he wasn't white enough to be white and the black
Yes.
side said he wasn't black enough to be black?
Yes. It was that, and he would constantly cry about it to me. And like when I say in tears, his dad's side of the family, especially the white side, he took me to an Easter gathering a few years ago, and even being a bisexual man, not a lot of his family members knew, and he was so scared to tell them about me. I'm meeting these people for the first time. Only one family member out of the 50 people that were at that gathering knew who I was.
That must have been really hard.
It was really hard. It was really difficult to grapple with because first I looked at him like, why would you do that? Like, why would you not tell them about me? But then
Yeah.
instead of confronting him, I had to think from it objectively and be like, this man is being judged himself, not only for being of mixed race and not being good enough for either side, but also because he's into men more than he's into women. You know what I mean? And he's dating a man. And the judgment was just astounding. I was in tears because of it. I just think that in my community as well, that this divisiveness, we do it ourselves. I think that we really have to have a good moral compass that points us in the right direction. And when we say that that it's an inclusionary space, we have to mean it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If that makes
Oh,
sense.
hey. Hey, Fearless Mama, how's it going? Come on up.
Oh, good. I'm here. I'm here.
How you doing?
Hi, Moon.
Hi, Fearless.
Hi, Phyllis
We're having
Mama.
discussion. We're having discussions about intersectionality. Would you mind? Would you mind to go ahead and just give folks an example of the first time you became aware about how multiple aspects of identity can intersect and shape someone's experience with privilege or oppression?
Um, that's like a complicated. What do you mean by that? I'm like terrible. I'm so terrible.
I'll let y'all go ahead and give some examples. Don't everybody jump at the opportunity. Jeez.
I learned about this just now. So Fearless Mama, you were in my shoes just a few minutes ago. A good example that I didn't even know I was providing was like a queer establishment that screams inclusivity, and someone that is a YT person such as myself that walks into an establishment and they don't even question my existence or what I look like, and I can walk into that establishment. But if I came in a group, there was a time that I came with 4 other Black individuals, queer individuals, and basically were forced to be patted down. Their IDs were looked at multiple times. They were searching for contraband, things of that nature. It's like looking at someone else differently, and someone else just with privilege gets to walk into the establishment.
Another example would be that women in general are by the healthcare systems. Women in general are perceived as being able to withstand a lot more pain than men are. So they're already discriminated against for their pain levels, and they have to be at a higher level of pain in order to receive any medications. But then the added thing to that would be a Black woman would have to be in absolutely excruciating pain to the point of potentially almost unaliving in order for her to receive the same treatment a white woman would. So it's essentially 2 levels of 2 barriers, if you like, or more than 2 barriers that define the level of care or the approach that people have to you.
Okay. All right. No, I get what you're saying now. Okay. I think. I don't know.
Another example, which would be
Kind of like how men don't have Section 8 unless they're in possession of children, but women get Section 8 without children. Privileges of being a man.
I didn't know that.
What
Go
is
ahead,
Section
Moon.
8?
What were you
Sorry.
gonna say?
Government subsidized housing.
Yeah, subsidized housing, essentially.
Ah, okay.
It allows you actually to get
What did you
what you
just
want, and they'll
say?
pay a portion.
What about Section 8 and men? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Men don't get Section 8 unless they have care or possession of their children, full custody, where women do get Section 8. And they also
Well,
get women
that's
Section 8 without
crap.
children.
That shouldn't be a thing.
Well, men are less likely to be on the welfare
Okay.
system. This is why they also don't get proponents in civil court or family court when they're going up against their spouse, because the spouse is more likely to be on the welfare.
Yeah.
She gets the proponents to keep the child, and also the judges get a bonus every person they keep on welfare and every woman they help out, which is great, I guess.
And the
But
men are less likely to also obtain custody of their children if they do have any.
because
When it
of
comes to
violent
court.
crimes, especially colored men, like you got a violent crime, you can go get your kid. And I
Is
could leave
another
years
is
ago.
an, is another good example of how like a single person doesn't receive supplemental benefits if they're essentially poor, but someone with kids automatically gets them. Is that an example?
Yeah, and another thing is who like
Or
some men, like
that don't get
single
tax
men or
bonuses, and I can't claim my dog.
single men and single
Said the
women, like they
pigment.
don't get the benefits, like medical benefits, like a mother would with children. So okay, I
Or
kind of
like
get
how
what you're
women can
saying
hit
now.
men in public and not go to jail.
So,
All right, Joe.
a better example would be that in terms of vulnerabilities, my gender poses a vulnerability for me because I'm a woman. But also, I've got the added vulnerability of being disabled as well, being blind and in a wheelchair. So there's two things that I could be judged on from that, and that poses me as being incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So, okay, I have a kind of an example. Um, so I am bisexual, and I was in a relationship with a woman, and we were trying to find a house. We were actually turned away from a landlord. He said he needed our pay stubs, he needed all our information, like our IDs, our this or that. We had the money right up front. We had everything, and there was no background check that was needed, and he turned us away because we were gay. Yeah. So
Fuck.
yeah, and then I got looked because my obviously my children are white, and my girlfriend is white, but she had a mixed child, so we got judged for that too. We got looked for it. So now I know what you're kind of saying, and you know what I mean? Like
There you
people,
go.
yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much for the example. I really appreciate that. And if you have any questions, please do not be afraid to ask. This is an inclusive space. It is a place for education and understanding. If there's anything you don't
Yeah.
understand, it is perfectly okay to go ahead and ask
Oh
questions.
yeah, absolutely. Remember I said you the last time I came in
Mhm.
here, we were talking about something, and I was giving you my opinion in different ways about it. So yeah, I usually ask if I have any questions.
I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate
So
you too.
another question for the whole of the group. How do y'all think that communities can develop support systems that prioritize the mental health of those navigating multiple layers of oppression?
Support. Like
Um,
What was that, Appalachian?
I feel like support. Like I feel like there needs to be like uh education on mental health for one. And more of a support system.
And how do you think that we can develop those in our communities?
Well, I've actually been trying to rack my brain around that. Like, I feel like if there was a way, like how you guys are doing this right now, if this could branch out, umbrella out, if we could do more, either more of these in smaller groups where people can talk and it's not so chaotic, but like I feel like there's not enough people like you guys in the world and like us, or there are, but maybe they're just either their voices aren't being amplified or lifted or heard, or they're just I don't know. I really don't know, but I feel like if there was a way to utilize social media in a way to provide education on things like, I don't know if this is out of context, but I know that as far as police officers go and stuff like that, like even they are so uneducated about mental health that like almost anything is just automatically drugs or they're automatically a criminal. So like not only if can you not drive and be black at the same time without a full on 5 car pull up investigation, but you if you're like, I was literally having a panic attack one day on the side of the road and the cop came over and made that panic attack so much worse. I've pulled over on the side of the road to be completely out of the way, to be as far away from traffic as I can possibly be, and I'm just trying to breathe it out. And I had a cop pull up and like immediately starts asking me 50 questions, but in like a what's the word, like a interrogative tone. And I'm just like, bro, I'm really just trying to breathe right now. Well, what drugs have you taken, ma'am? None. That's why I can't breathe. Can you just give me a minute? Like, I don't know. So I feel like we need like education. I feel like we need a stronger, more safe spaces and more inclusion and more just support, like in general. And not just for the gay community that I belong to, not just for the neurodivergent community, and not just for the mental health community, but honestly for all people as a whole in general. But again, like, sorry, all my dogs just got out and they're playing. But in general, like,
You let the dogs out. We finally got the answer.
I did. Yeah, I just feel like there needs to be more understanding and inclusion and support in general, like, and also in understanding and embracing differences. Like, I just feel like as a whole, the things we don't understand immediately, instead of trying to understand it, it's just suddenly it's taboo and we just must avoid it. Whereas I've always been intrigued by everything different from me and wanted to get to know more, you know?
Sadly, I'm just going to add on to what you said, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Sadly, I think there aren't enough opportunities for people who do fit into the intersectionality and tick multiple boxes. So I think what needs to be done is we almost need to create our own opportunities, and for people like us to build upon those opportunities and give access to others that are going through similar things, or into our spaces, like Sludge is doing right now. Do you know what I mean? But also outside of the social media world and in day-to-day life. So, for instance, with me being blind and also in a wheelchair, I intend on, once I get my claim sorted from suing certain people for what's happened to me, I intend on creating a charity where there is access to support for multiple disabilities at the same time, so that those that fall within that intersection can get the support that they need and don't have to go through millions of loopholes at a time.
That's beautiful. I love that.
That is. May I answer next, if that is okay with everyone else on the panel?
Please, yeah.
I'm going to use my community as an example, just in general. I did drag for 10 plus years and then took a
Thank
break
you.
from it. I'm sorry?
I said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I believe that, and I do a drag show once a year. And little do people know, they just think that it is an event for self-promotion, all the entertainers and things like that. But little do they know, the more people attend, the more money is raised. Like, some of my tips that have come out of my pocket go to disenfranchised youth, especially homeless LGBTQIA youth, and we donate it to the Ruth Ellis Center. And I believe that there's a fear, even in my own community, of stepping forward and speaking their truth, because the establishments that are currently in place don't lack the necessary tools, or they lack the people with the experience to allow them to come and tell their story. And I also think that it's a very, very prudent thing to have more queer or LGBTQIA youth centers. I sponsored one for years called Affirmations, and their funding is going into decline because they simply don't have access to funding, because people are just not understanding the mental health aspect or understanding the coming out process, and people shy away from it. Like what Appalachian said, like taboo. Like, I can't talk about my feelings for fear of judgment, even in a place that screams that it's inclusive. And Affirmations has always been an inclusive space. I think that having a presence in the community and having people that have the tools available, and can reach out to a certain number of people and bring them in, and letting them know that it's okay to be able to speak your mind and to stand on your truth and be able to express yourself. Like affirmations used to have a closed group, but then opened it. It was like a circle of chairs, and people could come in, and just there was no topic. It was, how are you today? And I don't think that we have accessibility anymore. Just people are just so afraid to be able to step into their truth and say who they are, even in our own community, and the fear of being misrepresented or being misconstrued, things that they say. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I suppose with the fear of judgment thing, what we need to remember is, regardless of whether you're a millionaire and you're a white person and you're a man and you're a mob boss or whatever, or you're a black homeless person on the street, there is always going to be people that judge you, and there is always going to be those barriers that you need to overcome. If we try to make everyone happy, we're making no one happy, because not everyone's, like, you could literally be the most perfect human being in the world, and people will still have something to pick on, because at the end of the day, there's always someone who's going to be unhappy with some aspect of something.
Absolutely. So
we need to remember not to cater for everyone, and to cater for ourselves.
Yeah, to prove your point even further, Undefined, I stumbled upon a book called The Let Them Theory. And essentially, it's not letting people live in your mind rent-free. And you're always going to be the villain in someone's narrative, no matter how good-natured you are. And letting them just think that narrative. Okay, I will be the villain in your story, even if I've done nothing wrong to you. You don't like the way that I present myself, the way I talk, the way that I walk, whatever. It's essentially just letting that go and not letting them tilt your crown, essentially. So what I've done is, when I walk into spaces and like in a cisgendered space with straight people, I get looked at all the time. My voice is effeminate. I am effeminate. And that seems to tick people off. But I'm not going to uproot my principles or jeopardize who I am, or be frightened because someone simply doesn't like it. If you don't like it, stop paying attention. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's all
Absolutely.
about... Yes, and I think the beauty of self-awareness is achieved when you listen to others, one, and you're a listening ear, and you don't let your tongue make you deaf. You just be quiet and listen to other people's stories. And through that, you can do a moral inventory of yourself and say, well, how can I change myself? Not changing yourself completely, but how can I approach things differently? And how can I respond to them differently? I chose years ago to essentially purge the negativity away from my body and from my mind. And like Ariana Grande says, my tongue is sacred. I speak upon what I like. Your energy is yours and mine is mine. And I thought that was really a beautiful statement to say. Everyone has their energy. Everyone has their beliefs. But if you allow it to affect you adversely, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're literally latching onto their ideas, because they're planting seeds of self-doubt in your mind, and you're letting them essentially poison you. And you have to have brand new eyes, and it takes a long time. It's not an overnight process. But I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It's just the statement about the brand new eyes. I'm blind.
Oh, girl. Sorry
Sensitive.
if that was offensive. I'm sorry if that was offensive.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help
Can't you
but
see what
chuckle.
you're doing to her?
I couldn't help but chuckle. I'm so sorry.
No, that was fucking funny. Oh my goodness. Um,
I'm so sorry.
no, you're good. We have to lighten up the conversation. But that's what I've learned, and I feel like if all we can do, just like right now, this is a great tool, especially if someone comes into this live, and they're like me. I was hesitant. I've never been on here before. I follow Coyote Joe. I was in a live with him, and there was absolutely after the live was done, I didn't have apprehension and I didn't have a fear. But when I came into here with people I didn't know, and I didn't understand the prompt, um, I was nervous and I expressed that. But when I expressed that, all of you were able to just listen and say that it's okay, and that's what we need.
Diva, I may send nasty jokes in private, but I do hang around good people.
Right, right. And now that my nervousness has ceased, it's good people like you that make talking about their life and their experiences and what triggers them and and what they think needs to change about themselves is really important. So to answer that question before, Sludge, I think what you're doing is an amazing thing by allowing people to come up here and you just let them be heard. And with
Well,
that,
go ahead.
it makes them feel validated, and I applaud you.
Oh, well,
It comes a
I
lot
try
about
to make
basic
sure that
human.
I try to make sure that I'm expressing basic human decency through example, because when it comes right down to it, the thing that I personally believe that the world is woefully separated from is our basic general sense of basic human decency. Like we are all people. We all have different lives. We have different communities we belong to. We all have different factions of identity that make up who we are as people. And unfortunately, right now, the way the world is, like those who are in power are currently utilizing different aspects of each of our identities to kind of weaponize us against each other. And I don't think that that's necessary. I think that's something that is being done intentionally to like drive us apart from each other so that we don't focus on the fact that this isn't a me versus you issue or an us versus them issue. It's literally a those motherfuckers and the rest of us kind of issue. And like we are all people with unique and beautiful lives, and this tension that we all feel with each other is entirely manufactured. And it's manufactured through a lack of education, a lack of understanding, and a lack of safety with each other. So I try to make sure that I'm providing just a space for the possibility of human beings to be basically decent with each other.
Well, and like what you're doing, like you said, basic common decency. That's what fosters relationships, and that's essentially what stop bridges gaps essentially. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
mute. Sorry, Moon Clan. We can
Uh,
get back on topic. I'm gonna mute.
I just had an episode last night about bridging the gap, but go ahead, Moon Clan. What would you like to contribute to this part of the conversation?
The way that we can, kind of get together is through communities, building communities that are based around a common thing, create a system, and every system's gonna have its growing pains, etc., and so on and so
I gotta
forth.
drop for a minute. Sorry, I gotta make a
Go
call.
ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Continue, Moon Clan. Sorry.
And once you solve one problem at a time, and not allow fear to dwell in your mind, because with everything new, there's always uncertainty, right? But we can use that for a strength rather than a weakness. That's just the way I think about it.
Absolutely.
And a positive outlook and an open mind and the willingness to accept.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if anybody's interested in hearing my take on it, in order for building inclusive support networks, we are required to create safe spaces where individuals can share experiences without fear of judgment or invalidation, which is one of the things that I do try to provide here on a daily basis. Even though the conversation may change to different subjects, that is the overall reaching theme behind my entire channel. And we also have to encourage practices of community care. specifically ones that acknowledge the specific needs of the various intersecting identities that we all have. And one of the things that I like to try to make sure people are focusing on is, self-care. Self-care, even though the name is self-care, it does require community effort. And in the context of like intersectional oppression, it's not just about relaxation. It's a survival thing, and we can't survive on our own. Survival, resistance, and reclaiming personal agency are something that we all kind of have to work together for. Hey, She-Wolf, it's so good to see you. Would you like to come up? Oh, it's been so long. I hope you're okay. Everybody, if you're not following She-Wolf, you should. They do amazing things with music and just a nice chill space. Speaking of chill spaces to be. But yeah, one of the things that I believe we all should be able to participate in, okay, no worries, hon, is a safe spot where we can all just kind of be and express ourselves and express our concerns and our differences, but also our similarities. I appreciate you, She-Wolf. You're so amazing. And I'd like to continue this on. So if you're not following, please do. If you're not following the panel, you should be following the panel. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you're not following the folks in the chat, again, doing yourself a disservice. I'm going to go ahead and close the monologue for this specific topic, but I am going to bring up another topic, which is oh goodness, intersectionality is today's. Bridging the gaps. I would like to have a conversation with you all about bridging the gaps in society and between each other. If everyone is down for that, go ahead and just let me know in chat. Go ahead and throw a 1 if you're down, 2 if you're not. And those of you who are in the boxes, if you're okay with having this conversation, just let me know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'll
Absolutely.
And I'll just wrap up my ending monologue really quick. That is all for this specific topic on interviewing humanity. If there's one takeaway from tonight's discussion, it's that intersectionality isn't just an optional consideration. It's the foundation of meaningful activism and solidarity. Oppression doesn't exist in a vacuum. Systems of inequality intersect, overlap, and compound in ways that are often invisible to those not directly affected. Ignoring these intersections risks leaving the most vulnerable behind, and that is not solidarity. We must also recognize how gatekeeping, whether intentional or unintentional, reinforces these systems of oppression by deciding who has access to resources, leadership roles, and spaces of influence. Breaking down these barriers starts with listening, learning, and making space for those whose voices have been historically silenced. True activism is about amplifying these experiences of those at the margins of society and building movements rooted in compassion, inclusion, and shared understanding. By doing this, we not only foster, hold on a second. Sorry, my dogs are being crazy. Breaking down these barriers starts with listening. I have 2 dogs and a cat. Starts with listening, learning, and making space for those whose voices have been historically silenced. True activism is about amplifying the experiences of those at the margins, building movements rooted in compassion, inclusion, and shared understanding. By doing this, we not only foster equity, but also create stronger, more effective communities that reflect the full spectrum of human experience. And that will be this specific talking point. And I would like to allow everybody a moment to go ahead and just talk and express for a moment while I pull up the next part of the episode.
Sorry, Diva.
Yes.
I just wanted to apologize if I made you feel awkward in any way. I didn't mean to. It was just absolutely hilarious.
Oh, absolutely not. In order to, in some uncomfortable conversations, sometimes there has to be some humor in it, and I appreciated that. I thought that I should have. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I sent that. I'm going to drop for now. Ignore that. And I don't know why that was sent.
You are entirely able to do whatever you want. You're an autonomous human being.
But you were. I thought that was funny, and I believe that humor cures even the most serious wounds. And
Obviously, I know you didn't realize that I couldn't see or anything, but it couldn't have come at a better time, and I
oh,
couldn't hold my chuckle. I'm
you
so sorry.
no, you said it. You said it, and I didn't like latch onto it immediately. I tend to forget things sometimes. I'm like, I feel like I'm Dory. Like I feel like I can only remember things for 5 seconds. And I thought I should be apologizing to you. So,
No, don't be silly.
where are you from, by the way?
I'm from
Undefined.
London.
London. I love that.
Yeah. Also,
I'm
you can
sorry,
call
what are
me
we
Tina.
talking about again?
Well,
Currently,
the ne-
Sludge is just gonna bring up a backdrop on Bridging the Gap.
I was
yes,
just
the
making a
next
joke.
part of this episode is bridging the gap.
I was just making a joke
Um,
because he said he feels like Dory
okay.
forgets every 5 seconds.
Oh,
You
fair
guys
enough.
have some
Fair
really
enough.
good
Shit.
fucking
To my
humor.
thing. What's going on here?
Really good
Oh,
humor.
I
I
love
love
you
it
guys.
in
It's
here.
fantastic.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you
Nice
too,
to meet you
darling.
too.
Hey, a little humor makes us
Bridging the gap.
all
Maybe I'll pop on and say hi.
smile.
Hi, how's it
Oh, hi
going?
up
Oh,
there.
you're gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Let's see. Mhm.
A coyote up there with the top box. I'm jealous. I'm just kidding.
May I ask where everyone's from?
Boy, I ain't a bottom.
You sure yap like one.
Oh, oh,
Dude,
geez.
things like
I'm
power top you.
I was originally born in Oregon, raised between Oregon, California, and Washington. Became homeless at the age of 13. Traveled around the country for a good long while. Developed my grassroots nonprofit called Heartfire Collaborative. I now travel around the country taking care of unhoused communities, and I also provide security services for victims of domestic violence and trafficking.
I love that. I love that, love that, love that.
That's confronting
I guess.
fascism. Let's see.
I'm sorry, Moonsley.
Yeah, Sludge Knuckle is the epitome of the most beautiful human being to exist.
I am just a person practicing basic human decency.
Every single time he receives a compliment, that's the first thing he says.
What did you say? Unhoused communities?
Bridging the gap. Yeah.
No, Appalachian said that.
Yes. Unhoused communities, yes. Yes, I provide services for the unhoused communities around the country. And I also provide services for folks who are experiencing or trying to get away from domestic violence and those who are surviving and trying to get away from trafficking. Absolutely, absolutely. Just so everybody's aware, I am poor. I live in a school bus. I am currently struggling to feed myself. But basic human decency is free, so it's the thing I provide the most.
Wow. Wow.
That's because Sludge Knuckle's the man.
No, I'm just a person. Thank you, though.
You live in a
Man,
school.
Dad.
You live in a school bus.
I do.
That is so
Fully built out. I
interesting.
built it with my bare hands. It's got a full bedroom, full bathroom, full kitchen, solar power, wood stove.
That's fucking awesome.
Cat hands.
Thanks.
I told you, amazing human being.
You know what that reminds me of? It sounds like I've heard of things called like these sanctuaries, or not sanctuaries, but they're like intentional communities that are being set up around like the United States. I know that there's a really well-known one in Virginia where individuals that have certain like things to contribute, like farming or like sewing, crafts, trade skills, they get together. And essentially, they pull all their money together and they build a community in the middle of like nowhere. I don't know how to say rural. It doesn't come out right, but rural areas. And I saw a documentary on it, and I'm becoming more and more, I guess, like more interested and tempted to join one of those communities, because currently I'm not making this life political, but with the current state of things going on, I would rather live in an intentional community where I'm protected. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I'm just going to let you know right now, human rights are not a political subject, and defeating fascism is also not a political subject. It is our duty as human beings.
Yes. Perfect.
Just
Perfect
throwing that
response.
out there. I get really tired of people being like, "Oh, I don't want to talk politics," when I'm talking about people's basic right to live and pursue, things like happiness, life, liberty,
Right. The only reason why I prefaced it that way is because even in ultra inclusive lives,
Mhm.
when I speak about that, some people misconstrue what I say, and they think that I they're like, well, you don't need to be political. Let's not be
Yeah,
political. I've been booted from a few lives by
I get a
simply,
lot of that. I get a lot of that
yeah.
as well. And it's really kind of frustrating, especially when you're trying to foster a sense of like
So
communication
they're about to
and
hear. Just so you know. Oh,
oh,
it
what was
already
that?
can hear me. Hey, y'all. Sorry. I was
Yeah.
letting the people in the house know that I was about to be like, my mic was going to be heard, and I didn't realize it was going to do it so fast. I'm sorry.
No worries. Let me just finish what I was saying real
Yeah.
quick, and then I would love to hear what it is,
Yeah.
what your idea was. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I experienced this a lot in a lot of lives because I do participate in political lives. Specifically, right now, I've been involved in a lot of live chats with farmers, former MAGA farmers, by the way, that have recognized the error of their ways. And yes, while I get that the sentiment might be a little too late for some, the fact that it's happening at all is a miracle, in my opinion. And it is something that should be celebrated and given its equal space as well. Now, however, the opinions of those as to what it takes to build community and what activism is definitely put on the side because they have not been doing all of this work as long as, well, the rest of us. But they still matter. Their opinion still does matter. It can be taken in after everyone else gets a chance to say their piece. But I'm really glad that there's a large movement happening with those folks. But even still, bridging these conversations in lives with people is kind of difficult because no one wants to have the taboo conversation about, what it means to treat each other with respect, I guess. But here in this live, basic human rights is not a political conversation. Bridging the gaps in society is not a political conversation. Fighting fascism is not a political conversation. Recognizing narcissism in leadership is not a political conversation. So don't worry, we can have these conversations just fine. They're not considered political here.
Sorry, Sludge. I just wanted to pick up on something you said. You said something about MAGA farmers. Do you mind just defining that for me? I don't know what that is.
Oh, MAGA. MAGA is the ultra far right cult that follows Donald J. Trump in his
Angel's
reign
great
of
again. It's a religious thing.
insane supremacy. I like Mexicans ain't going anywhere. That's my favorite version of it.
The border crossed us. We didn't cross the border.
But yeah, they are the cult followers of the far right insane asylum that is our current government. Hi, Angela. Good to see you.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Sorry for the
Yeah,
ignorance.
no problem. No, you're okay. I noted that a lot of folks around the world don't really understand what is going on, and they don't really associate the word MAGA with what's going on, but it is definitely a thing. Angela, would you like to come up? Angela is from Scotland and works. If I'm correct me if I'm incorrect, but works with the Department of Ministry, I believe, or something like that. They work with government in Scotland. Hey, come on up.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm actually going to drop because I was requested to talk to one of my family members, so on another
Okay.
live. But I will be back soon if you're still on. Thank you for having me so
Yeah, please.
much, and
Thank you for
you're
coming
all
in. I really
beautiful.
appreciate you.
Thank you
It
so
was a
much.
You're
pleasure
beautiful.
talking to you, Diva. Have
Nice
a
to
lovely
meet
day.
you. You too.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Nice to meet you too.
Be safe
Diva.
out there.
Take care.
Angela, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing all
Hey,
right. I'm doing
Angie.
all right.
Hi. Oh, I'm chatting you down there, honey. How are
Oh
you?
my God, it's been a while.
Been a while. You're way down there, sweetheart.
Yeah, not
How
too
are you
bad.
doing? How are you doing
Yeah,
anyway,
not too
honey?
bad.
Are you
Not too
fine?
bad. Yeah,
Oh,
not too bad.
oh, not too bad tells me then you're nobody's. That's not quite a good day then. Not too bad.
Babe,
It's
I
usually
woke
I'm
up.
doing great.
I went to sleep at 12 and woke up at 2, so I'm kind of knackered, but like not too bad.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I worked, yes, Sludge Knuckle, you're absolutely right. I worked in the government for 20 years in Scotland, but yeah, I left my job at Christmas, Sludge. I walked
Oh,
out at
really?
Christmas. Yeah, yeah,
Really?
so,
I didn't know that. I haven't spoken to you
yes.
for a while.
No, exactly. I haven't spoken to you since then. Yes, I walked out my job because
What
I
happened?
found out, I just found out there's a lot of corrupt and a lot of, I've got to be careful what I'm saying, okay, guys?
Is it
I just
Newtsies?
found out, sorry?
Is it Newtsies? Is it Nazis?
Yeah,
Yup.
yeah. I don't want to say too much. I'm
I
getting followed at the moment online.
I understand.
I'm getting bombarded with my inboxes are getting bombarded. I'm getting stalked. It's crazy. Yeah, they don't want me
I
to talk.
understand. Well, I will let you know that I am here and I do a really good job of moderating my own live, and I also have a couple of mods hanging out as well. So if you need to talk, you are free to do so here.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
No problem.
I mean, I'm at the end of I'm at the point in my life that I want to actually leave. I want to leave
Leave
the UK.
Scotland.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I see the state and I hear the state of England, and I can say, like, where I am, we didn't see as much as England see, but it's there and it's happening. But it's happening in the awful way. It's behind our backs. It's all under. No, we don't know it's happening. We think something. We're getting told by the government they're doing something else, but they're not actually. They're doing actually the opposite, and we have to just get on with it. I struggle with that. I have a moral compass, and you start deflecting my compass. Well, I start going crazy. So yeah, I gave up my job,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I'm
what's
going to take them
happening,
all the
Andrew,
way.
is they're
I'm
they're
taking them
trying
all the
to
way.
they're trying to make the community hate each other so that it takes away from the attention of what they're actually
They've done
doing.
it. We do hate each other, and that's the problem, honey. We do hate each other, and it's sad to say that, and I
I
see a
mean,
lot of hate.
last tax year alone, I don't know if you know this fact, but last tax year alone, over 4.4 billion pounds was underpaid in disability benefits, and they've now used that as they've used the excuse of, oh, we needed to house the illegal immigrants.
Of course they did.
So
So
yeah,
can I
Please,
make a clarification really quick? We don't
please.
hate each other. We don't hate each other. We're afraid of the specter of each other that has been given to
Not
us.
hate. I say hate, slug knuckle, but I shouldn't use that word hate because hate's very strong. You're right. We don't hate each other. We're confused and we don't know.
We are afraid of the specter of each other that has been given to us. That's it. When it
Right.
comes right down to it, none of us actually hates each other. We actually have a lot more in common with each other than the higher ups that are currently taking over the world want us to have.
You think so?
So, Moon Clan, yes, please do add to this.
Well, I'm just thinking, I'm getting told, I'm in Scotland, so I don't know what yous are getting told in America, but I know that's the forethought of my mind every single day is that we're a small minority now in our own country and we're frightened because we don't know what's going to happen.
If I may be
Yeah,
honest,
it's happening everywhere. Go ahead, Moon Clan. Go ahead.
if I may be honest, the
Please.
thing that we're most afraid of is not knowing what's coming, right?
Yeah.
And that is the driving force. We're afraid of things that we can't control, that are out of our control, right? We're also afraid of showing, how should I say this? Not weakness, trying to better phrase it.
vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Thank you. We're afraid of showing vulnerability. And we grow up in a society, in a world where vulnerability is preyed upon, which it should
Yes.
not be. It should be used as a strength. to bond people together.
It's a
As an
weakness now.
example, as an
You show
example,
that vulnerability
I
and it's
come
get used against you.
I come from a poor family. I'm sure you've been there once in your life where you have struggled. We should use it as a way to bond rather than separate each other. Right? So that's what's going on in today's world. We are afraid to be vulnerable and honest.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But
No,
I do
I
think
I
I do
agree.
think that there is a small portion of the UK that are choosing to live their lives in ignorance and not further seek the truth.
That goes on in
And
America all day.
so because of that, there is hate out there. And yes, hate is a very strong word, but there is hate out there, and it's happening on a day-to-day basis.
It does exist, and it is out there, but it is not as large of
Yes.
the population as they want
Yeah,
it
the
to be.
news fear mongers.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
I
it
think it
definitely
Pointing to
is
isn't.
negative.
bigger.
Nothing's pointing to
Yes.
positive.
It definitely
So one
isn't.
of the
Sludge, you know this. My cat went missing. My cat went missing this week, and the
What?
entire area that I live in ended up reaching out and searching for this cat and reaching into their own pockets to provide cat food and put it outside their doors to get her home.
Left.
And she's home. She's home now. But it was
Wow.
thanks to the community coming together that we were able to find her, binding together. We were able to find her and bring her home. But this is the kind of stuff that they don't want you to talk about, and they don't want people to realize this.
Yeah, because they're shutting down my live. Anytime I start to talk or trying to talk about something, they'll shut my live down, and or I get violated for something. I got my first violation yesterday morning because I done a live the first time the night. I done a night live. I usually do morning lives. Never done a night live in my life, so I jumped on Saturday night. I jumped on about 1:30. I couldn't sleep, so I just jumped on. My friends were there, so they jumped on and we'll come in and talk to you. So I was like, right, I'll go live. So I jumped on
Okay,
live.
Moon,
They
thank you
came
for
in.
coming in. I appreciate you. Sorry, I just had to let Moon know that I
Sorry,
appreciate him.
darling. Oh,
Tina, by the way,
sorry.
Moon Clan is taking off.
Oh,
Thank
bye,
you so much, Moon.
Moonclass, darling. It's been
Thank
lovely
you.
speaking to you today.
See you later, guys. Sorry I've come in and yabbled, but
No,
so
no,
I went
you're
live
fine.
and
I just have to address it.
okay, sweetheart. And because I started talking about something, obviously me giving up my job, because of what my job is and what I did, there seemed to be a radar on it, and it keeps flagging up that my people were muting, people were dropping people. I had no control of my live. Somebody came in and took over my phone.
Have you got a what's the word?
Be careful.
Have you got like a shadow account?
No, but I think, right, well, somebody came into my live yesterday to prove a point. We kicked him off. They came back with my profile, with his name on my face. He proved to me how simple this could be done. He went off, 5 minutes, came back
Well,
with my
yeah,
face.
it's not hard for me to click on your thing, go to one of your things, take a screenshot, and put your face on my profile.
Yeah, that is fairly simple.
But what I'm saying, what they're doing, they're doing multiple profiles of me, putting bad things on it, then running with it, and then I'm getting the
Yeah, you need
backlash.
to report those.
Yeah, but
You
Angie, the
show
reason I
I
that
asked
have.
that
review,
question,
'cause
the
you
reason
have.
I asked that question is because maybe you should create potentially a shadow account where you can discuss the things that you want to discuss without the repercussions.
Or even find a UK agency or agency in your area or your demographics
I
that can
refuse to
help
take
push
an
you and give
agency.
you help.
I won't
No,
take
an
an
agency
agency.
is not the right way to go.
I'm not going
Okay.
there. I'm not going down that road because then they've got a control of me.
But yeah, maybe it's best
You
to
could start your own
create a
agency.
shadow account without like your
There you
profile
go.
picture or anything on there. So without any ties to your legal name or anything like that. Create like a shadow account, and then you're free to discuss the stuff that you want to discuss without people actually knowing your
This is
identity.
not. I'm already on my. This is not my name. Obviously, I don't run my own name. But what they're doing, they know who I am. They know all my information. They're leaking my information, all my personal information. They're leaking it, and now people are starting to find me.
That's disgusting.
I've had
So
videos.
I'm going to
I've had
suggest.
videos sent to me, videos of because I ride horses, had videos sent to me, disgusting videos what they're doing to these horses, because they can't send me videos what they do to people, but they'll do it on these animals, and they're sending these, and TikTok are allowing it, they're letting them get through, but know what they're doing once the video gets to me, and I try and post the video to other people, then they take the video down.
So what I suggest doing
Screen
is
record.
just Jesus Christ. What I suggest doing is making it known on your profile that this is your only profile. Period. Like, put it in your bio. This is my one and only profile. This is me. Anything else that looks like me, is not me, is a fake account. Please report it. Right?
I'm sorry, guys.
And then
I'm so sorry.
and
Don't
then no, you're
apologize.
good. You're good. You don't have to apologize. And then I suggest getting a hold of TikTok support itself and letting them know that you are the subject of a targeted campaign, and ask them if you can start your own agency, because an agency allows the ability to recover profiles if they have been banned. It also allows you to figure out who's reporting you and who is causing you so many problems. And if you have a large group of folks that are causing you problems, TikTok can actually triangulate where all of that stuff comes from.
Well, do you know
And
what? Well, why are they not doing anything? I had a stalker last year, okay, and he stalked me for 8 months on this app. They took him down. They blocked him. Now he's back, and he's back with a vengeance. Now he can get into my lives because he's bought the, what's it called? You buy a thing to get into your group.
A VPN.
Whatever it is, I don't know, but now he gets a personal invite into all my lives. When I blocked him, he's not even allowed to even follow me. Why
well,
is he allowing this?
he got a subscription. He got a subscription. Cancel his subscription.
Right. So how do I take that off him when he's
You go to your
threatened?
options,
So-
and you go to your subscriptions, and
So
you
when
cancel them out. and
when
then
you're
you
not on live, go to your TikTok options, to your TikTok studio, okay? And then just kind of peruse through the menus. You will see one that has to do with subscriptions and those who hold subscriptions, and you can cancel them.
Got you. But every day
it'll be where your videos are in the right corner. That's all your options.
baby. Know what he's doing, but once I get on his one file, right, then I block it, then delete it, then within an hour he's got another one running. It's like 5 to 6 per day. I can't
Unfortunately, there's not a lot
keep
they
up.
can do if he's a jerk and he has disposable income. They can't stop him from getting
Yeah,
another
so-
phone, getting another number.
Right,
getting
that's
another
what they
email.
told me. They can't stop
So
him because he's not personally
here's-
But
touched
they
me.
can ban his account.
Here's something to think about. Okay?
Thanks.
If this person is spending their money and wasting their time to spend time with you to be a jerk, that means that they have first off, an unhealthy obsession, but two, you live in their mind rent-free. They are the ones with the problem. You, unfortunately, are just kind of like being targeted by their problem, but it takes not a whole lot of effort to go ahead and just mute and block an account when they pop up. And if they keep doing that, cool. And even if they decide they're going to subscribe to a bunch of stuff, you can still mute and block them.
Right,
And if they're paying for subscriptions, that's money in your pocket.
right. Okay, I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah, mute and block is way better than canceling the subscription. Mute and
Yeah,
block,
I
make
want
them-
to. I
let them pay
prefer
your
to do
sub.
that.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time or energy anymore, guys. I just can't. I don't have the energy.
You don't
anymore
work for
to
the
fight
government
this.
anymore.
Keep the subscription running, Andrew.
Are you
keep
too
the
busy being a
subscription
sexy
running. Just
spy
mute
with that
them.
voice?
Keep the subscription running. Keep taking the money and just mute them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Win-win.
Just
You
because
get
I've
money,
let him,
you get
I'm
money,
starting
they
to
get
let him live
Most
in
of your
my
accounts
head
go
now.
back at them and show their stuff, but you got a video recording as soon as it comes in so they can't pull it off.
Right, right. I will do
You
then.
take pictures immediately, you do video recording immediately, and then you show that. That way when
Yeah,
they try to pull
just
their
screen
content,
record.
you have proof.
You know, this guy threatened me last year. They blocked him last year. They got the police involved last year. They went to his country and told him to stop. They actually done all
If
this.
you
He
can
threatened to
prove
actually
bullying,
unlive
they will
me.
take all his accounts away because
But
bullying.
they
is a
haven't.
huge issue
They've
on
let
this
him
court.
back. He's back.
You gotta show them proof that you connect these two accounts together.
He seems to be one step ahead of me. Every time he seems to be one step ahead of me.
That's because you haven't looked. You gotta look this up on YouTube, and there'll be somebody to teach you how to get ahead of them.
Right.
This probably isn't you ain't the first one for this to happen to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can also, if you have enough subscribers, you can also do a subscribers only live, where only your subscribers can comment
report him.
on your lives, and then
Right, well, do you know what? I'm going to have to get a
if you want people
moderator
in your
that knows.
boxes,
I know nothing
Go ahead.
about this TikTok. I'm going to have to get someone that really knows and get them in with me because I don't know nothing about technology.
I have offered.
Oh, who said that?
That was me.
Sludge
I
did.
offered. I
What?
offered back in November.
I
Oh,
am a
well, oh, I
troubleshooting
didn't know that offer was still open.
Well, I
I'm
don't
going
do
to
a whole lot of
moderate you.
changing.
Okay, then. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
no
let you know
problem. No
exactly
problem.
what hours I do, and yeah, that'd be lovely.
Yeah.
I need a strong
Now,
character.
I will forewarn you, I can't make all of them because of what I do. I take care of the
Of
unhoused
course.
communities around me and all kinds of things, but I can also suggest other folks to come and help you out. I
Thank
do
you.
have a good, solid group of people who make good moderators. They are trustworthy people, and they're not jerks or trolls.
That's what I need.
well. Then
No
I'm
dirt.
out. I'm an honest
Yeah, but you're
jerk
not.
though, and I'm a funny troll.
I
Yeah, you're
like
not
funny
malicious
trolls.
either.
I like
Yeah,
non-malicious.
I'm very
I
yeah.
would offer myself up, but obviously with me not being able to see a lot of the comments would be able to
That's
get
why I
past
could
me.
never ask you
Gotta
my
tell that
darling to
TikTok
put you
Braille
in
to
that
get it
position.
going.
TikTok
I
Braille.
would never
Okay.
put you in that position.
I'm so sorry that I'm not able to do more for you.
Oh no, listen, baby, you just being here and me being able to talk with you, that's enough.
I
Please,
haven't
that's
spoken
enough.
to you in ages.
I know, but just you being here this morning's made me open up. I would never have opened up today, never. Unless I didn't even intend to come in, but it's just I believe that I was drawn here for a reason this morning. So that's the way I live. So I believe people are put in my path for a reason.
Oh, and I thought you just liked me.
I do like you, Sludge. I haven't even seen you. Come on, I do like you.
It's okay. You know, it's okay. I'm just messing around. I'm just messing around.
Okay.
You did happen to show up at a good time, though. We're having a discussion. We just got done with a discussion about intersectionality, and we're about to have a discussion about bridging the gaps. If you're interested in joining,
Also,
Absolutely,
Slug,
I
on
will
a,
stay if you
on a
don't
different
mind.
note, Angela's got sight problems too.
Yeah, I'm partially sighted. I'm blind in one eye. That's how
I'm blind
me.
as a rat.
That's how Angela
Really?
and I came across each
That's
other.
how we came across each other. Because I will go blind at one point. So I reached out to her. Yeah, yeah.
So there
Oh
you go.
wow.
sorry, give me just a moment. I'm handling my dogs at the moment. I'll be getting everything finished up and set up in just a second. Okay.
All
I
right.
gotta go
Okay.
Coke bottle glasses. I'll be blind in I'll be a negative 5.5 real soon. I'm at negative 4.5 right now. I had astigmatism
Yeah,
in both
like I
eyes and I
said,
lose sight since 8.
like I said, if you need
Where's
to reach
mine?
out, if you ever feel like you want to reach
Yeah,
out, my
I'm
inbox is
gonna
always
fix.
open.
I figured, well, I heard that laser correction surgery could really help because they figured out ways to slow down stigmatism now. When it first came out, there was no help for the stigmatism. And then also, robot eyes would be awesome. I'd put them in the middle of my hands and I'd have them shoot plasma rays.
There are actually, so if you don't want to
Howdy,
go
Joe, ladies
down
and
the route
gentlemen.
of like laser stuff, there are apps that can help. It's just we live in a very technological world. That when it works, it's absolutely great.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, if you want to get in touch
Holy
and
crap!
discuss certain things, then it's you're more than welcome to.
Thanks.
We're almost to 20K likes. We're at 19.8. Thank you all so much for tapping. Give me just like 2 more minutes so I can finish up with my dogs. I have everything already set up in the bedroom. I just got to finish before they get really mad at me.
Okay, take your time.
But yeah, how you been doing, babe?
Apart, I
Besides all
let
of that,
yeah. Apart from all that, I'm actually fine. I'm still at my daughter's. I went to my daughter's for Christmas, and I'm still here.
Aw.
I haven't been to home. I need to go home. But yeah, I'm going. I need to get home. I've got me and the cat are here. I've took over
Have
my
you tapped
grandson's
your heels a few
bedroom.
times?
I tap them every night, but I close my eyes and nothing happens. I wake up, I'm still here. Yeah, I do.
Oh,
I could literally listen to y'all's accents all day.
Do you know what? I love American accents. I
Same though.
love it.
so
I
do
can listen to
I.
news all day.
I absolutely love American accents. I
Really
could
there,
listen to them all
madam? I
day.
Yeah,
can give you a good American.
People from
listen to me.
across
Do
the
you
pond
like
are
do you
always
like the
like, I
president?
love
Because
an
the president
American
likes
accent.
immigrants.
Oh,
American
I
women won't
heard.
do me.
I don't like your president. I'm
Are you a fan
sorry.
of Alex Jones? Because I'm a great Alex Jones guy. You're not even trying to play a vampire though, right? Return of the Frogs, thieves.
Alex Jones is a piece of shit. Anyway,
Well,
How dare
Trump's
you?
in bit.
I
Well,
am
Trump is
diarrhea.
arrogant.
you're
But he's
correct.
going to do
The
the job.
entire
He'll do
the
the
entire
job.
right wing party of well, what's turning into the world is fascist Nazis. So, anyways,
Oh yeah, I know.
Nazi schmoxy. I proclaimed 9 something or another. You know what I did.
Doesn't the N word get you in
yeah,
Monodontic?
I thought that.
I don't care.
Do you mean Knickerbocker?
I don't care. I am part of an agency, and I lean on them so heavily.
Right.
Okay.
But it's about time because you know what's happening because it's about time we had this voice because we need to talk about this, guys. It's happening.
Vote Labour, they said.
Poo-poo
Get
Shamu, I see
Conservatives
you in
out,
here.
they
Come up,
said.
please.
Labour's worse.
Oh my God. Labour was the worst thing. But you know what? We know the 12 years of the Conservatives, right? We know they're destructive. We know what they did. But Labour, Jesus, they just come in and just slaughtered us again.
I'm sorry, but like at this point, I'm just leaving. Like I'm just going to leave the country, and I'm
That's
privileged,
exactly what I'm doing.
What?
and I'm
I'm
Where
going
privileged
does
up
one
enough
north.
to have
go?
a dual nationality, so I'm able to do
Hold
so.
on.
For the
Oh,
people
right.
that
Where
don't, it's a lot
where
more difficult.
where does one go when they're in every country?
Europe. Oh well, do you know what I've got a wee part of Europe that I know is it's got them but they've revolved round and it's Catholic run countries. These are all Catholic and they're not overrun. And I'm
North
not going to
Africa.
point. You all know what countries are. It's in Europe. Go down a wee bit. Go down past Italy. Just go out that way. Go. I keep thinking I'm on my own live and I've got to be detective about it. But that's exactly what I'm kind of got my sights on.
I'm putting my sights on Algeria, to be honest.
Joe MF Vibes just came through, and I missed him. That's the person I was trying to connect you with.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still here. He's still here. Joe, come on up.
Hey
This guy here
Joe. Hey
is
Joe.
Undefined
Hi,
Enchantress.
Joe.
They're the person I was trying to connect you with.
Brilliant.
Sludge, what breed is your cat?
Annoying Orange.
Ooh, those are the best ones. They're most
Ginger
like
tabby.
dogs.
Oh, the cat sounds so cute.
Joe, this is Tina. Tina, this is Joe. Y'all are on opposite
Hi
sides
Joe,
of the
nice to
lineup
meet
here.
you, darling.
Hello,
Hi,
friend.
Joe.
Heard your optic nerves aren't that great.
Oh yeah, optic nerves are a fuckery.
Yeah.
My optic nerve exploded in 2023 in my sleep. So I went to sleep with 20/20 vision and woke up with no vision at all.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm
No,
kind
don't. It's fine.
Yeah.
But like I say, if you need help in terms of signposting or how are you coping with your sight loss at the moment?
I'm going through surgery next month, trying to get it back, but it's not the end of the world. It's not horrible.
It's also not guaranteed. I just want you to be aware of that because I do understand that. I understand it better than most. Building up hope and then to have that hope shattered is heartbreaking. I found out of a procedure that's done in Germany where they shoot your optic nerve with so they put you like a contact lens in your eye that's connected to electrodes, and they electrocute your eyeballs essentially. Yeah, I attempted that.
Terrifies me.
I did attempt that. Obviously, it didn't bring my sight back. But I understand the sort of need and want to do everything possible to attempt to bring it back. To make sure that at the end of the road, if all else fails, you can at least say that you've tried everything.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds kind of painful. Yeah, I'm happy I didn't do that. I think they're just
Are you
they're weird.
diabetic by any chance?
Yeah, I am. I'm type 1.
The reason I ask that is because I've got another friend who their blood sugars rose so much that their optic nerve started bleeding as
Oh my
well.
God. Like, listen, Enchanted, I've just got a letter and I've never had it before. I don't have diabetes, okay? You know I'm blind in one eye and I was born blind, okay? My right eye's deteriorated so fast, it's unbelievable. But I got a letter 2 days ago. Friday, where are we? We're Monday. Oh shit. Friday it was. I got the letter telling me I need to go to the doctors because they think I've got diabetes in my eyes. What the hell are they talking about?
Right. So, in terms of diabetes in your eyes, this is exactly what I was talking about. With I can't remember what they're called now. My brain isn't working properly. But so basically, your optic nerve is going to be like if they rise too much, that your optic nerve could essentially be like Joe's, where it starts bleeding. However, rest assured that the friend that I did have with the same condition, where his optic nerve has started bleeding, the procedures that he's had have actually been successful, and he's been able to restore moderate vision. I mean, it's still cloudy at times, but it's moderate vision to the point that he can now drive to a safe point.
Right. Wow. We'll have to go and get tests.
But in the meantime, if you want to sort of prepare yourself, I can also signpost you to certain places as well. So if you'd like to message me privately, then my inbox is open.
Okay.
This goes for both of you. My entire premise on TikTok is to raise awareness about late in life blindness and things like that, because it can if you do lose your sight, you're going to grieve.
Well, do you know what? I've noticed in the last year since I got the jabs 3 years ago, I've never been the same. I have not had the jabs in over 3 years now. I've not took any, but I see the mass deterioration in my sight. Like, I've only got my right eye left, and that's deteriorated so fast. Now I technically can hardly see my phone now.
Bless you, darling. Have you got in touch with the low vision clinic at Moorfields?
Never. I don't. It's never. Do you know what? It's never affected my life. I've always worked until Christmas. And now I don't know if it's because I'm aware now and I'm not working and I've got a lot more time on me that I'm actually aware of what's happening.
The only reason I ask this is if you get in touch with the low vision clinic, they can provide you with magnifiers. Now, magnifiers are like magnifying glasses. However, instead of being magnifying glasses, what they actually are is they have a specific prescription personalized to you to fit your prescription, so they can enlarge things for you. They can come in the form of holdable ones where you can hold them. They can come in forms of like the little loop thing that the monocle that that Mr. Monopoly used to have that he no longer has.
That was the pink man that had that.
It's because he got LASIK.
But yes,
the guy in
they can come in like forms of like they can come in like little forms of monocles, things like that. So if you Angie message me privately, we'll have this
darling. Yeah, we'll
and Joe, if you want some more information, like I said, my inbox is always open.
Definitely.
Joe, I'll give you a follow too.
Thank you.
I think it's important to stick together, guys. And
you know that my entire premise on TikTok is to raise awareness about this stuff.
Absolutely. That's why I get you into my lives, and I love you to come into my lives to do that awareness, because everybody knows I'm partially sighted. Everyone knows that. But I would love you to come up and talk.
I remember the first time I found out you were partially sighted.
Yeah, remember on the live?
I'd been speaking to you for ages and didn't realize you had a sight problem.
Well, mine's because
if I put my mom on, could you convince my mom that she's blind? Because she
no.
So if y'all don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and open up the second part of the show today. This portion of the show is about bridging the gap and strengthening solidarity. So those of you who are just now tuning in, welcome in. This is Interviewing Humanity. I'm Sludge Knuckle. And tonight we're diving into a discussion that ties together pretty much everything we've explored in past episodes, which is bridging the gap and strengthening solidarity. We've dived into topics such as identifying narcissism, operational security, self-care, class consciousness, and the like. And while these subjects may seem distinct, they converge on a critical issue: the deliberate division of the working class and the strategies to overcome manipulation, fostering unity and collective strength. So how do we build trust in a system designed to sow distrust amongst us? How do we counteract propaganda and misinformation that pit us against one another? How do we recognize and dismantle the tactics used to keep us divided? Tonight, we're going to aim to answer these questions through an educational narrative, interspersed with some thought-provoking questions to inspire conversation between segments. And it's going to be followed by an open forum for the panelists' insights. So let's get into it. First, we have to understand the forces of division. Through history, the working class has been subjected to deliberate strategies aimed at creating division. These tactics serve to weaken collective power and maintain existing power structures. Some key forces driving this division include political polarization, such as media outlets and corporate interests amplifying political differences, portraying them as insurmountable. This portrayal fosters an environment where individuals view each other with suspicion and hostility, detracting them from shared economic struggles. Another tactic is weaponized identity politics. And while acknowledging and respecting diverse identities is crucial and mandatory, there are instances where identity politics are manipulated to divert attention from broader economic exploitation. This manipulation can lead to infighting, overshadowing the common challenges faced by the working class. And then another tactic is manipulative leadership. And we spoke about this quite recently. Narcissistic leaders exploit divisions for personal gain using charisma and persuasive rhetoric to manipulate public opinion and maintain control. So we have to identify manipulation and misinformation. And to build solidarity, it's essential to recognize and counteract manipulation and misinformation. So things like media literacy, which those of you who don't know is the ability to scrutinize media narratives for emotional manipulation, sensationalist headlines, and stories that evoke strong emotions because they're designed to influence opinions. Authentic grassroots movements versus manufactured campaigns, distinguishing between those two things is critical because some good, genuine grassroots activisms and campaigns are orchestrated to authentic movements are created typically to emerge organically and from community needs, while manufactured ones often have external funding and agendas. And then we have to pay attention to things like social media dynamics, which is why we have these discussions here. Okay, you got to be aware that social media algorithms often prioritize content that generates strong reactions and sensationalism, which can perpetuate conflict. Approach online interactions with a critical mind and verify information before accepting any of it as truth. And then another step that we have to take is to build common ground. And despite efforts to divide, common ground can actually still be found through shared. Hold on a sec.
The puppy wanted to talk.
Sorry. Shared experiences. Engaging in open dialogues like how we are now about personal experience can reveal commonalities that transcend superficial differences. Active listening is important. Approaching conversations with empathy and a genuine desire to understand fosters mutual respect and paves the way for collaboration. And then collective goals, creating collective goals is very important. Focusing on shared objectives such as fair wages, safe working conditions, and equitable policies can unite individuals across diverse backgrounds and great spaces. So my first question, is how can we effectively engage with individuals who hold opposing or opposite views to find common ground without compromising our personal core values?
BBJ. We'll start from the bottom, and we won't tap them out.
Oh, shit.
Tina?
Common ground with people who have opposing views.
Yeah, without compromising your core values.
Ah.
This is one that people have been having a really hard time with.
Where do you start?
I always try
Angie?
to remember, and I'm a Christian, so I shouldn't judge anybody, and I should be
That's I will.
epical to their
I think
plight.
what we have
And
to
even
get
if I don't
back
agree
to
with
is
it, I can be
basics.
tolerant.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
think
point
we
of
have
this
to first
conversation.
we have to go back to basics, and I think now we have to go back to humanity. There's no humanity in this world anymore, and I think once we go back to humanity, then we get back to understanding.
I
I
would like
hear
to
what you're
correct something
saying.
really quick.
However, go ahead.
I'd like to correct something really quick. You can't say there's no
Okay.
humanity in the world anymore
I
because we
feel
all
no
exist.
that listen. I just feel that humanity's been a bit lost at the moment. I don't know
I
if
think
maybe
We're in
it's,
fallen times, yes.
I think
yeah,
people are afraid. I think
yeah.
humanity
That's it.
still
Maybe
exists.
that's it.
There's a
Maybe it's
spiritual
fear.
warfare going on, and a lot of people are not
Yes.
believing anymore. So there's a lot of just evil feeling things. Plus, there's a lot of narrative that makes you feared. So there's a lot of fear in the world, unfortunately. So it
Yeah,
keeps
but if
people
they're
from
shutting
getting to know
down
each other.
like places of worship, I say like if they're
Well,
going to
like,
be starting to
have
shut
you ever
down
heard of
these places,
Salvador and how bad it is? Would you want to visit there?
no.
But I visited there, and there was no
So
racism because I was a person of there, and it was
one
actually nice. And the
one
missionaries
more
told me
thing.
where to go and where not to go, so it was very safe.
Wow.
One more thing.
I'd love to go somewhere it
One
wasn't any racism. But is there
I
anywhere that
mean,
one
hasn't
more
got
thing.
it? Sorry.
Switzerland for you,
One
I
more
would
thing.
imagine.
Hold on a second. One more thing.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing that we discussed during the conversation about manipulative narcissism in politics is the understanding that belief and religion are two separate things, and that religion has been utilized against the population of the planet for thousands of years to create divisions amongst us intentionally. So have your beliefs, have your personal beliefs, they are yours. Spirituality, your connection with your God, those are personal things. But the concept
So
of
why does
organized religion has been utilized to subjugate humanity for thousands of years. So it is one of the things that we do need to move past. I'm not
absolutely.
saying don't have faith. I'm not saying don't have belief. I'm not saying don't have your own spirituality. But the concept of religion needs to be thrown out the window.
Absolutely.
Sludge, I've got a
That's the
question for you.
confusion. Is that not
But
the
it holds a
confusion?
big
Because
morality
if
to
we try
life,
to
and they
talk,
are helpful.
but if we try and talk about any sort of belief or any sort of religion that we believe in or I believe in, I get slaughtered by someone else. Someone else will just put something on it and then put their beliefs, try and put their beliefs onto me.
Yeah, but
So
don't
my
worry about
question
that.
is, my question is, why do we need to discuss our personal connection with our God with other people?
You shouldn't. That's personal.
No.
I believe it shows
Yeah,
why. It
exactly.
shows submission and it
Sludge.
shows service and lets them know that we're coming from a neutral place because we have a higher morality or we have a moral center. We're not
See,
conning them,
that's a
but a lot of people get
that
conned by the religion, unfortunately. That's why I don't like the
that's
churches.
another part of the problem, though, is that the
Right.
concept of being part of a religion gives people a sense of a moral
Belonging. Yeah.
superiority, and there is no such thing as a moral superiority.
Right.
Period. Morals are instilled and established by foundations of governance and by foundations of oppression. Period. Morals are rules for people to follow so that they stick to a certain society's way of life. Period. The difference between morality and ethics is that ethics are a universally understood way of treating each other, which is basic human decency. Period. And morality is entirely based on your own belief about whether or not someone deserves the right to live. That's all.
Sludge, I've got a question for you. Can you hear me? So how would you say communicate your point across with some? You said so. The initial question was how to communicate effectively and reach a common ground with someone who's got severely opposing views, right? Without compromising your beliefs. How would you suggest communicating with someone, let's say a Yahtzee, for instance, without compromising your own beliefs?
I'm going to tell you right now, there is no communicating with a Nazi. Period. So here's the
Nice
hold on, let me finish. Shush, everyone, shush. Here is the paradox of tolerance. The paradox of tolerance is you cannot tolerate the intolerant, and Nazis are ultimately intolerant.
which is why no matter what anyone says, no matter where they come from, no matter where they are, who they are, what they grew up as, it is always okay to punch a Nazi in the face.
Okay, I love that.
If your
Yes,
viewpoint
ladies.
is that an entire group of people should be wiped off the face of the earth because they are somehow inferior to you, you deserve every single fist that comes flying your direction.
Okay, I love that.
I hope that answered
So
your question.
that did answer my question very nicely, actually.
Women and children too, host.
The only well, children should
What
never
about
be attacked.
grandparents?
Period. Absolutely. If your grandmother's a fucking Nazi, punch her in the mouth. Anyways,
Blam! Nice.
the ones who should not be attacked for their misguided belief in a thing is a child, because they were indoctrinated that way. It's not their fault.
But then those children grow up to be adults. So how would you re-educate a child, let's say, who's grown up in that background?
Once they're 13,
With
start punching them in the face.
with compassion and understanding, the same way you re-educate any kid who's been through serious traumatic things, with counseling and therapy.
Understandable.
Kids are ultimately victims of their elders, always, throughout all of history.
Okay, so I'm gonna shift the goalpost a little bit. What common ground could I possibly find with someone who is an absolute racist fuck?
The understanding of why they're racist. So people don't hold these views and values because it's inherent to them. They hold them because it's something that they were taught. And usually the only way to teach someone to be racist is to deprive them of education. So if you have the ability to understand and accept that this person is only racist because they're fucking stupid, that gives you a little bit of ground to work with. Now, recognizing that this person is uneducated and does not know of what they are talking about, like, for example, here in the United States, people right now are very, very adamantly against Muslim people and against Hispanic folks. Not everybody is this way, but a portion of them are this way right now. Specifically because of the defunding of education, the banning of specific reading materials, and the rhetoric that has been being pushed by a fascist regime. And those are things that need to be taken into consideration. So when you're addressing someone like a MAGA fallout who just so happened to finally realize that their God King is a fucking Nazi, you approach with the understanding that this person is only this way because they lack the education that would have saved them from being this way, period. And propaganda plays a big part into it as well. So in order to re-educate someone about any subject at all, you have to provide them with information, with verifiable information. And if you approach them with some kind of hostility, or go ahead.
Go ahead. Here in the UK, we've had two separate incidents in the last 2 weeks where certain scriptures from Islam, so
I heard about
the
that.
Quran, have been burnt in public, and then the people who have responded to that situation have been demonized. How would you respond to that?
You can't
How would
even
I
pray in your
respond to
house
what?
if it's too close to a mosque or something like that. Like there's a bunch
How
of
would I
places
respond to
right
what?
now.
How would you
To
respond
people
to a
being shitty?
situation? Yeah.
How would I respond to people being shitty? With compassion.
Well,
I'd
to
be
be
really
to,
sad for whoever was harmed in that process. I'd also be really sad for people who have been swept up in religious dogma that causes people to believe that their version of the same God is any different.
Well, I'd like to bring up that there are people who think the uncontacted tribes, like in New Guinea and the rainforest, are savages still. But you know, the story about that is one day a white man picked them up, took them to town. Once they didn't agree upon stuff, he left them in town with no money and no way to get home. So they have reasons to be scared of outsiders. You know, there is reasons to be scared
Absolutely.
because all racism is just tribalism, and we don't know things until we bridge them. But there are some people out there who take advantage of the less knowing. This is
No, there's a
why
difference between
we have these.
there's a difference between prejudice and racism. Racism is inherently tied to systems. systems that oppress others based off of their heritage or their nationality, their belief structure, whatever the melanin content of their skin.
Yeah, unfair frisking laws and stuff like
Prejudice,
that. Yeah.
prejudice is just someone not liking you because of something that they believe about you. There, for example, white people cannot experience racism other than through the lens of the person who benefits from it.
What about the Abbotts? The different side of the tracks: bad, good, rich, poor. It's classism.
What was that? One more
Classism is
time.
almost a form of racism. I mean, I said, what about the Abbotts?
Classism exists because of racism. Yes.
But classism is
actually, let me go even deeper than that. Let me go even deeper than that. Classism and racism both exist because of capitalism.
What is classism? My bad.
Oh, classism. So you know the upper class, the middle class, upper middle class, lower class, things like that.
Yeah.
Bad side of town.
Classism is viewing each other. Yeah. Classism is like the folks living in the 3-story houses over here on this side of the street, looking down at the folks in the 2-story house on this side of the street because their house isn't as big and they don't have as much
gentrification
resource.
and pushing the local people out into places they can't afford, urbanizing areas and making more poverty, more crime in the areas because you merge different subgroups of impoverished people who wouldn't get along normally. So you could have
Exactly.
Starbucks 5 times.
Yeah. That is gentrification, which is a part of classism. And currently, right now, what's going on with billionaires taking over our government and the rest of us being deprived of our resources, this is called class warfare.
Okay, so my question, I suppose, my next question, I suppose, is if you've attempted to educate someone and they choose to be knowingly ignorant, and you've tried to find common ground, but they're still choosing to be knowingly ignorant, do you just leave it at that, or do you continue to attempt it?
Well, I mean, if they have made their grounds very clear despite all opportunities to go ahead and correct things, then yeah, they've chosen where they should be.
Right. So how does that work with then bridging the gap?
Not every gap can be bridged.
Yeah.
That's a part of tonight's discussion, is understanding that not every bridge can be gapped, or not every gap can be bridged. And understanding where those places sit is rather important.
Yeah.
So this next part of the discussion, building security, protecting yourself and others, the role of operational security in movements, which is where this part of the conversation comes in. So operational security, or OPSEC, is vital in safeguarding collective efforts. Understanding surveillance is necessary. We have to recognize that surveillance and data collection can be used to suppress movements. Awareness of these tactics is the first step in countering them. Protecting communications, like utilizing encrypted messages or messaging platforms, practicing discretion in sharing sensitive information helps prevent infiltration and disruption. The importance of self-care in sustained activism is it's required to it requires attention to personal well-being. You have to prevent burnout, and we can discuss what burnout is along the spectrum anytime you need to. Hi Angela, please feel free to come back up. Where was I? Emotional resilience is necessary as well, regulating and engaging in activities that rejuvenate the spirit, such as hobbies, meditations, or spending time with loved ones. It helps in coping with the emotional toll of activism. And then we have to recognize and mitigate narcissistic influence. And that's where those folks who choose where they're supposed to be, that's what this part is about. Awareness of narcissistic behaviors is crucial, and it's crucial in maintaining healthy group dynamics, specifically. Identifying manipulative tactics requires that we be vigilant of individuals who seek to dominate discussions, dismiss others' contributions, or manipulate group decisions for personal gain. We have to establish boundaries, clearly defined roles, responsibilities, and decision-making processes can prevent the concentration of power and ensure a collaborative environment. We also have to promote collective leadership Encouraging shared leadership and rotating responsibilities can dilute potential narcissistic influences and empower all members. So my question for you all is, what strategies do you believe that activists and regular civilians who don't want to be activists can employ to balance the need for operational security with the necessity of an open and inclusive communication?
And now in English.
Hold on, someone's knocking at my bus. Please converse with each other for a moment.
Okay, guys.
Um,
The
what
moment he
was
said
the?
now in English, I lost what he said, but I actually knew what he was saying. And I was going to say something like, cameras and lower, like a movement to get cameras in lower and impoverished areas will help them stop crime and it'll also catch the cops being corrupt. So this is something that we as citizens need to help the lower economic people stop the corruption in their city. And also, it's crazy that a lot of
I
people
mean,
in the
yes,
South
it
have
will
police that are in
I
their
mean, yes,
community,
it will.
but the people in the urban areas, those cops are never in their community. Policing outside of the
I hear what
community
you're
is
saying. I
very
know.
different
I
when
mean, yes, it will.
attached to the people.
Yes, the cameras will catch the police officers being corrupt. However, in terms of governmental standing, do you really think that that's going to make a difference in the reaction of those cops, regardless of whether they are caught on camera or not? I mean,
Yeah,
there are
but here's
these
the difference with the
officers.
bad people delivering packages. So, I mean, when you're caught on camera doing things illegally, it does suspend and it does start building a case against it, which means you have to be smarter.
Did you hear
Also,
about the case recently in Michigan, where an 8-year-old girl pulled a pew pew on a police officer because the police officer had put her mother in a chokehold for
no.
after being falsely accused of stealing a television and having proof that she'd actually purchased the television, but the police officer didn't want to listen to that.
I saw the one in Atlanta, though, where the young man got off after hunting the other guy down that assaulted his mother inside of a hot dog stand. And he
So
got
the
totally busted.
8-year-old girl that we're talking about here was in the car and watched her mum being put into a chokehold to the point of being unconscious as they left Walmart with a television that they'd paid for but didn't get a receipt for. The security guard at the door was told that they'd paid for it by the cashier, and still decided that they were going to call the police. A police officer turned up. I think her name was PC Baker. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. But the police officer who turned up wasn't trying to hear the other person's side of the story. Put her in a chokehold, and her 8-year-old
Well,
her 8-year-old
if the police
daughter
officer
was.
showed up, someone called the police on her.
Yeah, it
You
was the
don't show
security
up on
guard.
property.
Joe,
The
let her finish.
It was the security guard, but the 8-year-old girl was in the car and saw and had to witness her mum being put into a chokehold to the point of being made unconscious. So she went into the glove compartment and handled a pew pew, and pew pewed the police officer one shot right into the eye, bullseye, and the police officer passed away. The 8-year-old girl and her mother were then arrested and found innocent of all charges because it was seen as self-defense. But these are the situations that people are facing on a day-to-day basis. And in terms of bridging the gap, I hear what you're saying with regards to putting more cameras out there, but I don't think that's going to make a difference with regards to police officers being rogue. I think rogue
Well,
police officers are going to be rogue regardless of whether they're being watched or not.
so I believe that the way to secure that area of issues and misuse of power is to hold policing bodies accountable for their crimes. Period. No qualified immunity. No getting away with it. No sliding it under the rug. Thorough, in-depth investigations from third-party and investigators that hold no loyalties to their little unions or anything like that. I believe that people need to be held accountable for their actions, point blank. Joe, do you have anything
California,
to
that's
contribute to this? Other Joe,
Yeah,
hold on,
I
Kennedy.
think police. Well, I don't think you should be a police officer unless like you grew up in that area, because like that's just my opinion. Because like if you grew up in a certain area and you care about that area, I don't think you would like um I don't know how to say that. You know what I mean? Like the district that you were like grown up in. I understand like traveling out of places and stuff like that, but like in order to protect it, you have to like grow up there. I think that's just my opinion because you would put
I think
more.
that's actually a great point. One of the things that allows officers to get away with their crimes comes with the qualified immunity thing. If an officer commits a crime in an area, they are then shuffled off to a different district in a different state so they can be a police officer somewhere else. And I'm right there with you. If someone is going to be a peace officer in an area, they should be someone who is intrinsically tied to that area. They should have family and friends and loved ones in that area so that they are less likely to commit heinous crimes.
Yeah.
I think
I'd almost advocate a
in the
bonus for
case
working that area since it's troubled.
in the
Let's
case
give an incentive.
one of the most famous cases here in the UK was the case with Wayne Couzens and Sarah Everard. I mean, there in so many cases, the police as a unit are actually turning a blind eye when it comes to their own people, to other police officers. So Wayne Couzens for years was actually nicknamed the Grapist. By his colleagues alike because of his profound obsession with upskirting women and being really inappropriately touching women, searching women when he knows he's not supposed to, etc. And then it escalated to the point where he'd actually raped and unalived Sarah Everard. And it took forever for them to obviously get that sorted, well, put him in prison for it. I think the main thing that we need to focus on if we're talking about police officers and stuff like that, I think there needs to be rules put in place, and I think they as well as being vetted, because we know that they're vetted. However, things slip through the cracks, right? I think that their devices need to be checked quite regularly. I don't think that it should be permitted for them to have privacy in that sense when they're using their privacy to conceal things that are absolutely heinous and shouldn't be allowed within that field where they're supposed to be there to serve and protect.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. Full regulatory oversight, period. No qualified immunity. No unions. I'm sorry, I do not believe that policing bodies should have unions at this point in time. We can talk about it in the future after we get things cleared the fuck up. But as of right now, the fact that there is a union allows them to shuffle criminals, and I mean actual legitimate criminals, across state lines to be criminals in other cities.
Wow.
And I mean actual criminals, like serial unalivers and serial rapists.
I mean, in the world that we live in now, you're more likely to get a prison sentence for selling tree leaves, to use TikTok friendly language, than you are for grape or unaliving. And that's just the sad reality of the situation that we live in. I think
You want
laws
to know
need to
why
be
it's that
put in
way?
place, and I think police officers, or those who execute the law, need to be held at a higher standard and a higher regard when it comes to abiding by the law. I don't think there should be anything that is left to sort of escalate or left to be
Hold on.
looked on blind.
They don't even need to be held to a higher standard. They just need to be held to the same standard the rest of us are. Period.
I think
The bar
I
the bar
genuinely
for the bar for holding a police officer accountable is so incredibly low. Like the bar is on the floor. It would take minimal effort to just go ahead and hold them accountable like we do the rest of us. You know, but the reason why things are the way they are is because of political lobbying.
Yep.
Influences outside of the realm of public knowledge who pay a shit ton of money to have politicians and lawyers and folks in that area of government pass legislation and laws that allow them leeway. For example, How do you think Sean Combs got away with so many things for so long?
Well, he
Is
had
that
an
Wasn't because of
influence over
secrecy. They
that. He
weren't
was
exactly
able
quiet
to.
about it.
No, he was able to pay police officers and pay court systems and pay people off.
Mm-hmm.
isn't that P Diddy?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh
Sean
man,
Combs is P. Diddy, yeah.
Puff Daddy.
the diddler.
Oh, did you know
The
that
Diddler.
did you know that his lawyer has said that he can't represent him? This is the same lawyer that represented Saddam Hussein, and he's just said that the stuff that's come out is so horrific that he
Saddam
can't
Hussein
represent
was a
him.
good guy.
It's because Sean Combs is a fucking monster.
Yeah.
I said what I said. I
I
said
want
it
you
with
to
my
think
whole
once
damn
they
chest, and I'll
villainize him
fucking
and they
take
get rid of
anybody
the
to the street for it.
boogeyman, that there's no
No, of
boogeyman. But really,
course.
there's 3 Sean Carters or Sean Combs in every industry. Every industry in America, there's 3 of them: the handler and the 2 that snitch on each other. They got 1. There's still 2 more, and that's in every industry: auto, internet, social media, farming, sales.
The
Every
thing
industry
is,
has these
with
3.
what's happened with Sean Combs, everyone who's tried to speak out has wound up unalived.
That's because they want to make an example of this guy. They want to pull the look away from Epstein. They want to pull the look away from the illegal search and seizure altogether because he was trying to be a Fed. He was trying
What's
to
really
work
funny?
and bury him.
What's really funny is that they're putting everything out there in the open, and people are kind of assuming that they're separate things. So, first and foremost, nasty man Jeff, who supposedly killed himself. Do you know? Did anybody get a chance to go ahead and? I'm sorry, I know this is really insensitive to those
The
who are
guy had a
visually impaired, but
5
did
o'clock
anybody
shadow.
get a chance to look through the book? Go ahead,
Which
say
book?
it, Dina. Go ahead. Sorry,
The
the flight
blind.
logs of Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh yeah, I caught him on a little case thing. It's all some names
Did
and
you see
stuff,
the
but
names that were in it?
bunch of Hollywood stars. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see how Sean Combs was in it?
Oh yeah.
The connections are there.
Barry Gordon was the beginning of all this. You know what I mean? Like he was groomed.
Mm-hmm. You know who else was on that list?
Trump.
Stephen
Donald
Hopkins.
John Trump.
But he claims I never hit the island. I just used it for a flyover.
So my question is, if Trump was on that list, right? And I know Trump was on that list, but knowing that Trump is on that list, why is he refusing to let Combs out of prison? Because when Trump took office, the one thing that Combs was relying on was Trump was going to accept his appeal to pay restitution.
Could let him out of prison would legitimize him
Because
getting
he's
out.
black.
He could do turn against him and trial against him. Him being dismerged.
Nope,
would
it's
keep
because
him
he's
from being
black.
able to snitch. Maybe
Trump
he
isn't going to let him out.
black
Trump
out,
isn't
though.
going to give him leeway for the simple fact that he's black. That's it.
Fair
That's
enough.
it. People forget that Donald Trump is a massive, massive racist.
He let Kodak black out though.
Yeah, that was before he was the supreme Nazi leader of America.
I mean, we've got people here in the UK on that list. To be fair,
Yeah. Oh, they're all over
our
the
royal
world.
family is on that list.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
the
Charles and Benedict didn't have to come in, but you got to put that guy down.
the Prince of Dubai is
Hypocrisy.
on that list.
Fuck's
They
sake,
were
who was my brain isn't braining right now, but who was the guy who was in a wheelchair who couldn't speak properly, who's now
Hawkins,
Stephen
Stephen
Hawkins.
Hawkins, the guy
was
who
on the
did
fucking
not have any
list?
use but still cheat on his old lady. That guy's a gem.
Was on the fucking list.
Yes,
You know who wasn't on the list? David fucking Tennant.
David Spade wasn't there either. I don't know who David Tennant is.
I've heard of David Tennant.
Sorry, little too niche. Okay.
No, I've heard of David
I'm just
Tennant.
not that smart, and I know a lot of Davids.
David Tennant is my favorite Scotsman. That's all.
Connery wasn't on that list, and he smacks his wife all the time. Oh, Highlander, why?
No, actually, he's quite nice to his wife. His wife actually, I think, wears the pants because he wears a kilt.
Well, his new wife? Because his first wife, he was not too nice to. I don't know what's going on with Tom Hanks right now and McDonald, but I got to stay out of that because I like them both.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and continue the conversation. Did anybody have questions from that last segment? Promoting collective leadership,
You left
establishing
and you
boundaries,
didn't.
anything like that?
You left and you were.
Oh,
They wanted you to summarize the whole thing. I mean, I gave an example from what I thought it was, but
okay. I did not hear the question you had for me before I turned off. I'm sorry. Would someone please
so
repeat
you
it?
you had told us the next topic, and then they wanted summarization. You had to leave.
Oh, I had
Somebody
asked the
knocked
question
at the
about
door.
what. Yeah, I asked the question about what strategies activists can employ to balance the need for operational security with the necessity of
Yes,
open and inclusive communication.
and they said English ones.
How can we practice privacy for like personal security reasons while also being open and clear with each other for activism?
Morse code.
No, not using legal titles and stuff. Not using your legal information on things like social media. If you're going to attach a phone number to your social media accounts, let it be a burner cell. At the end of the day, put your safety first above all else.
No, you put your group's safety above all else because the whole point is to not incriminate your group. It's one thing if I go to jail. It's another thing if everyone goes to jail.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Right? So I'll answer the question for you. The best way to promote security while still being able to clearly communicate with your people is to do so in person. Period. Also use regular mail. Just regular pen and paper mail.
See, but the issue with regular
You can use
mail.
pigeons.
No, but see,
No.
the issue with regular mail, there is an issue with regular mail. That mail can still be lost in transit. It can still be opened
Of
by
course.
someone else. So that doesn't really protect the security and
Oh.
safety of your people.
Now, we have to understand that no matter what, we are being watched, period. So, in order to get a message across to your friends and family, is to go ahead and just write a letter. Now, you double that paper up so it can't just be looked through with a flashlight or whatever, and send it off. And if it shows up opened or doesn't show up at all, perfect. If you are expecting a letter and that letter doesn't show up, you can just call your friend and be like, hey, I never received it. Cool, plans changed immediately. Right?
Right.
And that way, whoever intercepted that mail has a false idea of what's going to happen, because the moment that letter doesn't make where it's supposed to go, doesn't land safely where it's supposed to go, the plan changes immediately.
Right.
Perfect operational security. Now, honestly, it's the best way to go, especially in a day and age that is entirely technologically driven. And I will discuss safety techniques and tactics on how to appropriately disguise your mail, or at least protect it from being read from the outside, and how to appropriately set up plans for activist movements and stuff if you have to communicate by long distances. Hopefully, and presumably, you're working with activists that are local to you so that you can have those discussions in person, which is the best way to do things. Just have conversations in person, leave your phones behind, don't take your cell phones with you. Everybody have kind of like an established meetup spot that you have conversed multiple times. If someone doesn't show up as appointed, you scrap that meeting and do it somewhere else.
Yeah.
All right. So this next part is about strengthening class consciousness. Okay. Can a body cam hit a microphone or a hidden car cam? So cool thing is there's these
hidden
cool
nose.
things. So there's these cool little things out here that I'm going to go ahead and just show for a brief moment. Enhance.
You're gonna show them.
I have something to show you. It's not illegal to own.
No, I won't be able to see it.
I'm sorry. I will describe it for you.
half the panel.
I already knew I had to do that. Hold on a minute. So, the camera.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Sludge. I'm so sorry.
So those of you who have eyes, this thing right here. This is a small black device that is shaped kind of like a vape. Okay, and it has a red lens on one side and a long extendable antenna on the other. Okay, or at the top of it. So this thing is meant for identifying camera lenses, specifically hidden camera lenses that may or may not be in your area. It's also meant for detecting infrared wavelengths. It's also meant for detecting radio signals and stuff like that. Basically, things that would come off of transmitter devices of any kind. This little device right here tells you if you are being spied on. They're very useful. I suggest everyone gets one. They're like $4.
Also, I don't know if you guys knew this, but your phone camera can pick up on infrared lights that you cannot see to the naked eye. So for instance, you know when you've got a TV remote and you're pointing it at the TV, if you were to get your camera on your phone, your phone would be able to see that light, and will be able to pick up on that.
%, absolutely correct. Which is why I keep a little bit of electrical tape on my front-facing camera and on my back-facing camera, and I only take it off when I absolutely need it. I suggest everyone does that. Okay, let me stuff my face with some gummy snacks really quick.
Those are my favorite snacks. They're not vegan friendly.
Gummy break.
Well, I found a pack, and it's the first thing I've had to eat for a couple of days, so I'm going to enjoy it.
Never eat diet gummies. It ends up bad.
You can actually die doing that.
Well, it has some kind of thing in it that makes you loosen stuff and things lose control.
You can also get vitamin toxicity from eating too many vitamins, which is an incredibly horrific way to go.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's horrific.
I didn't realize you can take too many vitamins.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Your body pushes out all the extra vitamins.
It can, unless you are taking too many for your body to cope with. For example, you haven't eaten for a few days and you just so happen to down an entire bottle of vitamin gummies. Your body will go into vitamin toxicity because your kidneys and liver can't flush it all out. Okay. The next part was recognizing and mitigating narcissistic influence, correct? No. Nope. It was strengthening class consciousness. Okay. So first thing we have to do is start shifting focus from identity division to economic realities, because that's where we all share our common ground. That's how we start bridging the gaps. We stop putting aside these ideological concepts and start talking about the very real things that are going to be affecting everyone. While individual identities are integral to our experiences, emphasizing our shared economic challenges is how we're going to be able to start fostering unity. Okay. So, something that we should start talking about is our interconnected struggles. Recognizing that various forms of oppression are interconnected and they often stem from systemic economic inequality. Avoid divisive distractions. Be cautious of narratives that highlight differences to divert attention from collective economic exploitation. And we have to start debunking the meritocracy myth, the belief that hard work alone guarantees success. It overlooks systemic barriers. We have to acknowledge that factors such as access to quality education, healthcare, and networking opportunities significantly influence one's ability to succeed.
We have to expose the inequities of the systems. We have to highlight disparities in wealth distribution and opportunities that favor a select few, challenging the notion that everyone starts from an equal playing field, because it's entirely incorrect. We have to foster unity across political divides. Now, this is the part where people get a little touchy. Okay. Collective action is always strengthened when individuals unite despite their political differences. Okay. We have to emphasize our shared interests, focus on common goals like improved labor rights, healthcare access, affordable housing, basic income. We have to learn from diverse movements, study successful movements from the past that have united individuals across the political spectrums, and draw lessons on effective collaboration. We should also be encouraging inclusive organizing, creating spaces where all voices are heard, which our previous conversation about intersectionality, that's the entire point of it. We have to create spaces where all voices are heard and diverse perspectives are valued, fostering a sense of belonging and shared purpose. So my question for you all, how do you think we can effectively challenge and change the belief in pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, meritocracy, and promote a more accurate understanding of systemic inequality?
I completely agree with you in terms of the fact that no one starts from an equal playing field. The sad matter of the fact is, from the minute you take your first breath, if you're born into a rich family, you've got privileges that someone who was born into a poor family doesn't have, right? And that then floods into school. Even if you do go to a public school, you are more likely to get the better grades because your families are able to provide you with private tutors, etc. Through the studying of sociology, it has been made very clear to me that the system that we live in now is predominantly is purely the bourgeoisie taking the bourgeoisie being the upper class that have material things that they can use to employ people to or systems to employ people to work in those systems. So the proletariat, the less fortunate, the working class, if you like, and the idea of work harder, get more money, you can eventually be successful, is an absolute myth, because then the tax system takes the entire nearly your entire paycheck. I think as the way we need to foster that, and the way we bridge the gap that way, is to educate our children from as young as possible, to let them know that this is a system, and this is what we have to deal with, and potentially try and find your own ways around it. I mean, there are people that have got out of the absolute dumps through crypto. It's not the best thing possible, but in the world that we live in that's so divisive, it's something.
Thank you for your contribution. Anyone else?
Like, until we break the system, it's not going to be changed. Like, the people who are like older and like lobbying or whatever, like stuck in their ways, they're going to be like content with the system. Like the younger people coming in, they're going to want to change it, but until the older people get out of there, we're like comfortable, it's not going to change.
But also,
Why do you think that?
I feel like because it's our views change, like as we're growing up, like I don't know, I just think like a president, like I don't think our president should be like 80 years old. I think our president should be closer to the, like, what is it, 35? You have to, obviously it comes to like wisdom and whatnot, but.
Did you know that George Bush Sr. was born the same year as Donald Trump?
Yep.
Did you know that every president we've
A
had
bunch of those guys were
since
born
George
at that
Bush
age.
Jr., every single president we've had since George Bush Jr. has been born in the same year, 1946.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yep.
Wow.
And that was back when there was only 48 states.
I think the main way to challenge the to bridge the gap is to unite. Those of you who've looked at my bio, together we are unbreakable. And united we stand and divided we fall. It can be incredibly difficult in today's world to unite with people under the same agenda.
I think it's
However,
more of a consumer thing, honestly, because we saw with Disney when they said no to woke, movies went different. When they did
and
Tom,
this is
when they
what I
did
mean about
Tom
uniting.
Cruise.
So if
So when we spend our money, if we choose local business, if we choose not the big box store, if we choose where we purchase our money and what we put our money into,
Joe,
it shows a
Yeah.
wave.
Coyote, hey buddy,
Yeah.
I love you, man. You got
Oh,
to stop
my
interrupting,
bad.
please.
I thought we were talking in turns.
Yes, she
sorry.
wasn't done talking yet.
And this is what I mean about uniting, because united we stand and divided we fall, right? When there is like a movement going on and it's publicized everywhere, right? When there is things like, oh, today we're going to boycott all the shops and we're not going to go shopping for the next 2 days. Pick up everything that you need today. We're not going to go shopping for the next 2 days. The government can't stand not having income for 2 days, right? Eventually, they will learn to listen. Pick up some cans, pick up some tins, sustain yourselves on tin food, cupboard food, things that aren't perishable. Stop spending money where the government can actually make a profit off of you. They will eventually fall and learn to listen because they are controlled by money. They are driven by money.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Coyote, what were you going to say?
Intercommunically, if we had plumbers, if we had people who can help other people with their stuff, we wouldn't need to go outside the industry. If we had community like sponsors and help to gardens, we'd be able to feed people if we had community pantries. But it seems like only the religious people do these things and they get a tax incentive for it. Because I've never really been to a non-religious place where I got free food. So it's weird because you want progression, but it's also traditionalism. And it seems like the people who have less than are willing to give the less than, who have more than are not as willing to open up food pantries and social programs that don't benefit their areas or make them look good. They don't put their names on it. These are the things we have to get away from, right?
This is why we talk about things like mutual aid and community coordination. Correct.
So food banks in the UK are a little different. They're not just hosted by people from religious backgrounds, etc. However, what we've noticed going on a lot in the UK is things that are branded. So if I was to buy, for instance, say a tin of Heinz beans and put it in the donation box for the food bank, the likelihood is it won't be put out for people that are actually going to get food from the food bank. It's left in the back room, and the people that are volunteering themselves or whatever actually take it home at the end of the day. They give the less snazzy stuff that has been donated, so the stuff that costs a few pennies, to the people who are genuinely in need, and take the other stuff themselves. How would you suggest that we combat that?
I'm not sure we have a
Combat
program here in America.
greed?
Well, yeah.
Well, start off first and foremost, education, always. Okay. One thing that helps combat food scarcity is education on how to grow food in smaller spaces and confined spaces. Also, educating on the benefits of microgreens. Because I'm sorry, but if you live in a closet, you can grow microgreens. Here in America, we have A, B, C, and D fruit. Oh yeah, absolutely. Education first and foremost. If you become educated on how to grow food in sustainable ways in smaller spaces, for example, tower gardens. Okay, a tower garden is essentially, think of like a skyscraper, where every window is its own fruit or vegetable, and you have your water flow is more efficient because you can water from the top and it waters all the way down, gets every root from every plant, and you have more food space coverage
while taking up less amount of space area wise.
Interesting.
That's smart.
Also, micro greenhouses. So if you take like a small Rubbermaid tote, not a full size 22-gallon, but like maybe a 10-gallon tote, you take what would they be called? They're like plastic mesh screens with under dishes to them. You can soak seeds, usually like sunflower seeds or alfalfa seeds or whatever, and then lay them on that mesh in its plate and stack them inside of a sterilized green tote, or not green tote, sorry, a clear tote, and just leave them somewhere with some sunlight. You will have created roughly a week's worth of microgreens right there. And it takes a couple of days for the first ones to start sprouting, but then once they start sprouting, you have a supply of microgreens for that week. And when you clear one tray out, which one tray would be about your day's worth of microgreens, when you clear out one tray, you just clean it, re-soak some seeds. And if you're doing tower gardens, you have the ability to resupply your seed stock.
Microgreens, is that like kale, like spinach?
I mean, it can be. It really depends on what kind of seed you want to turn into. So microgreens is basically sprouting seeds to get a full amount of nutrients from them without having to, worry about the process of growing them to full fruition for the fruit of that vegetable.
Okay.
Now, like alfalfa sprouts.
Like
Alfalfa sprouts are microgreens.
Stuff in the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then once they've sprouted, you put them in soil, right?
I mean, you can, or you can just eat them. They have as much nutrients per handful of sprouts as you would from a fully fruited like stalk of corn. You know what I mean? Or fully
really?
fruited.
Okay.
Oh yeah, microgreens are incredibly beneficial for your health. They're easy to grow. They grow fast, and so long as you have a constant supply of seed, which the tower gardens are good for, you will have a fairly endless supply of food.
Oh.
You just have to make sure that sunlight, water.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that your pets don't get to them. But yeah.
Of course.
Right, so just
that's why if you have cats,
hydroponics inside.
That's why if you have cats, you grow cat grass or catnip and place it some fucking where else in the house.
Yeah, I've got cat grass. I've got cat grass.
Perfect. Anyone else
Not
have
allowed to touch
questions?
the catnip at the house.
I'm about to grow some freaking microgreens. Inspired me.
You really should.
Because I
highly
attempted
suggest people start that.
a year ago. I did attempt to make to grow my own tomato plant because it's so I attempted to grow my own vegetables and I had a huge garden at that time, and the cats just got to them completely. The foxes got to them.
So if I may suggest, instead of growing your tomatoes out of the ground, my suggestion would be to grow them out of hanging pots.
But then they wouldn't the plant then just sort of bend and break?
So there's something I want you to look into. Or I mean, you still can. You can Google through voice.
Yeah, I can still Google stuff.
So,
yeah.
The topsy-turvy planter.
Topsy-turvy planter.
Yeah. So you plant your. It's like a regular planter, but instead of the sprout coming from the top, you would plant it. You would plant your sprout in soil when it gets to be about like a foot tall, and then you would put it in this topsy-turvy thing, and it would come out the bottom of the pot, and it would grow down instead of up. And then it would spend its entire time. It would spend its entire life strengthening its stalk to fight gravity, because it's always going to want to grow up, which is going to make that stalk stronger, make it easier to water, and also take a lot of the stress off the plant of getting nutrients from the soil into the vegetable that you're growing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I had one of those. That's freaking genius.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, because like I said, I did attempt to make my own vegetable garden. That didn't go very successfully with my cats and foxes in the area. And
Yeah, of
My
course.
neighbor taught me how to jerky meat. It was awesome. Getting old
I
meat and then
don't
using an
necessarily know if I
electric
want to
fridge.
ask that question. He said using an old electric fridge.
No, using I'm sorry, it was he didn't have gas, so he was using an electric stove, I think. They couldn't get
Oh,
no
cool.
gas line, so he would leave it open and he would put the meat in there and he would just jerky it and make his whole house into a smoke place. He was a
Nice.
dog trainer and ex-military. He worked for like the police and stuff. And he would always hook me up with his jerky. He's like, yeah, just get the meat that's going bad, and I put it in here and I run my thing, open it up, and just make his house all hot with the oven, basically.
That's fantastic.
huh.
Any more questions? Now's the time.
You know, there's
Sorry,
having like
I just feel
community
like I've gone through a
understandings when you
whole.
buy animals, so that you don't waste your money on like produce or stores, but you also help the local farmers, and then you all chip in on the animal and divvy up the cuts. It's actually very affordable. There's
It is
also
very
hunting,
affordable,
and
yes.
people hunt for other people and help their communities by hunting extra game and then sharing it out to the community. There's a lot of advocacy things that you could do that are non-religious, where you could just be communicable. It's mostly communicable. That's the issue. We're not communicable anymore. We don't know our neighbors. We don't have any commonality,
Yes.
and we all hide in our homes, and we all build higher fences, put cameras on our neighbors because we're afraid of them taking our stuff because we're very materialistic. We have to get away from that.
And this is why it
Yeah.
was so beautiful that when I lost my cat, my entire community came together and bound together to find this cat.
That
There were
is
people
beautiful. Now
reaching
my
into
question
their own
is,
pockets to put food out for the cat.
if a homeless person in that neighborhood came knocking on everyone's door asking for help finding their cat, would they have gotten the help they asked for?
Enough, yes.
Personally, I think they would. In this community, I think they would.
That's cool. Fuck yeah. All right. Well, if there are no further questions on the subject of bridging gaps and things like that, I'm going to go ahead and just run through the closing dialogue, and we can just do our normal chit chat thing. Well, folks, that is all for this episode of Interviewing Humanity. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our panelists for their invaluable insights, to our live audience for their engaging questions, and to those listening to the recording for your continued support. Your participation is what makes these discussions meaningful and impactful. Remember, the power to bridge divides and strengthen solidarity lies within each of us. By fostering understanding, practicing empathy, and standing together, we can create a more unified and just society. As always, I have been Sludge Knuckle. This has been Interviewing Humanity, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you in our next episode. Stay connected, stay informed, and as always, keep asking questions. Thank you all, and good night. And cut. Okay, perfect. So, how is everybody?
My puppies got sold, man. I'm blessed by God today.
Dude,
I'm good.
what time did y'all start today?
I started at 7:30.
Yeah, it was like 2:30 here.
Yeah, so like 4.5 hours ago.
Right, I tried like looking for you, but I was looking at my time at like 7 o'clock my time, and I was like, took my melatonin already, just woke up, and I was like, yeah.
Nice. I can't take melatonin; it makes my night terrors worse.
Yeah, I think I had one today.
Yeah,
Haven't had one in a while, but
I have them every time I go to sleep.
Have
Even if I
you
don't
have
remember
you
them.
tried chamomile tea
Yes,
as a?
yes, I've tried everything. I've been having them since I was 8 years old.
Bless you.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is what it is. I sleep for like an hour, maybe.
I used to dream a lot, and then like I got to the point where it was kind of like on the verge of like lucid dreaming. This was when I was like 14, and then I had like a sleep paralysis pretty much, and then I stopped dreaming for like a really long time, But now I dream like maybe once a year, twice a year now. It's kind of crazy.
My weird thing with dreams is that I don't dream very often, and if I do dream, best believe whatever's happened in that dream is going to reenact itself in real life.
Yeah.
All my PTSD and my brain damage with my sleep apnea, I don't breathe. I almost pass away every night, and I don't hold memories or retain dreams very well at all. I kind of
Are
feel
you on a
blessed.
CPAP machine?
Heck no.
These things are
Because they want me to
horrible.
do a bunch of dumb stuff, and I don't want to look like Darth Vader. I'd rather pass away fat and happy. It's a thing. No, it's not.
Yeah, they put me on one of those machines like last month because I had
I
pneumonia.
just need to get skinny, and then I won't have to worry about diabetes or my sleep apnea. I'm too damn fat. I know that because I'm 273 right now at 5'10", and I'm supposed to be 180. That's not good.
You know, I don't mean to shit on your parade, but I've got a
Please, I
friend.
enjoy it.
I've got a friend who is quite slim actually, and he's still got sleep apnea and uses a CPAP machine.
Yeah, it ain't about
Well,
being
you have
skinny.
totally shat on my parade.
It's not about being skinny at all.
Well, then I need a cool one that looks like Hannibal Lecter's mask. I'm not wearing that Darth Vader thing.
Get a Bane mask.
Just get an Israeli gas mask.
Nice. I actually have one, but you know, there's a thing attached to it, and I use it for California stuff.
California stuff. That's funny.
California
Here on the amazing TikTok shop, by the way. We all love TikTok shop, don't we, guys? We love TikTok shop. Anyways, here on TikTok shop, they have these fun little things that that help open up if you've got like a deviated septum. There's a lot of times people snoring and inability to breathe through their nose while they're sleeping is what causes snoring and apnea kind of situations. It actually opens your nasal passages so that you can breathe easily through your sinus while you sleep. And it has been proven to cut down on people's apnea symptoms and help relieve sleeping problems.
So I have sleeping problems, but it's not because I can't breathe through my nose. They've discovered that my tonsils are too large. Even when I'm not ill, my tonsils are abnormally huge.
Why are they removing those?
But they won't take them out.
Because they're not threatening your life currently.
I can't breathe in my sleep. I keep waking up to breathe. I have to sit up to breathe.
Just make out with somebody with strep.
Cause go to the veterinarian, right? Post-apocalyptic.
No, that is really stressful. I still have not had my tonsils taken out ever. I also had never had strep in my life until I want to say 2016, and it almost killed me because I'd never encountered it before. My body had never had a chance to have anything to do with it. And I got it from my ex who was cheating on me. She got it from the person she was cheating on me with, and brought it back and gave me strep, and I ended up in a hospital for a week and a half.
Fuck.
I've been married twice, so I've been neutered, but I get to keep them in a jar.
Weird.
So hold up. You had strep, but they didn't remove your tonsils.
Nope.
Well, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I also had many years before that, when I was young and homeless, I had gotten really sick and fallen asleep in a friend of mine's like tiny little like walk-in closet apartment. And after I fell asleep, apparently they had all decided they were going to get high and drunk and started piling clothes on top of me. And 5 days later, I woke up and I could barely breathe underneath a fucking mountain of clothing. And I reached my hand out to like ask for help, and somebody like pulled me out, and I couldn't swallow, I couldn't breathe. And they were like trying to talk to me, but I couldn't talk. So one of them threw me over his shoulder and walked me the 12 blocks to the hospital. Turns out I had an abscess in my throat the size of a golf ball. that had ruptured as I woke up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and if I hadn't been walked to the hospital, I would have died that day.
Oh my god.
Woohoo!
In the 8 years I got sober, I got gastritis one time from drinking too much energy drink. That would have never happened if I wasn't sober. Dang it.
Gastritis. Is that where you poop funny?
Yeah, it's a big gas bubble in your stomach. I got it from too much taurine and energy stuff. It just builds up.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's almost like when you drink too much malt liquor, you get acid. What is it really called?
You get the shits? The
Abscess
swamp acid?
or abscess? Abscess
Oh.
or something. It's a hole in your stomach lining.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about ulcers.
Ulcers. There you go. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Ulcerative colitis.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, but it's just gas in your stomach that
Yeah.
makes you sick. And I never got mono, but I heard that's horrible.
Mono. Yeah. Mono is
And
great.
I've
That's
been
the
lucky
kissing
not to
disease.
catch any STDizzles. Yeah, boy.
So I've been fortunate enough to only have chicken pox in my entire life.
I had
Obviously,
chickenpox 4 times.
no, I've only had it once,
I
but
had turkey pox.
I got it in my adult life though. So it
Ooh,
was a
that's
lot
horrible to
harder
hear.
to deal with.
Yeah,
my
that's
parents, you know,
rough.
forced me to get sick with a child. Like a
Don't we
normal
all get that
psychopath
when
would.
we're like a baby?
No,
Or
no.
like,
You have to
yeah.
give
Yeah,
it.
but
You have
I
to go, oh,
didn't
you
get
got sick
it.
baby? Let me get that sick baby. Rub it on my sick baby.
Yeah, I
Listen,
didn't get it as
Generally,
an infant. My
it's,
my parents had shielded me when I was an infant. I didn't get it as an infant. So I got it in my adult life, and it was absolutely fucking horrible.
so another fun fact: did you know that chickenpox is directly related to the herpes virus?
I do, and so is cancer.
Really?
That's also
Yes.
herpes.
Yes.
I know that cold sores are directly related to
Yeah,
the herpes
Yep.
virus,
and also if you
but
Chickenpox
I
get
is a
didn't
herpes,
form
realize
of
chickenpox
you
was.
have to go biking and you have to go
yeah.
canoeing. The commercial said so.
So if it's directly related to the herpes virus, why is it that you can contract it just by going around someone rather than actually having to be intimate with someone?
No, you
The
don't have to
outbreak.
just go around them. You have to share items with them. That's
Lipstick,
why
drinks,
when
anything.
kids when parents take their kids to chickenpox parties so their kids can get chickenpox, they just let the kids interact with each other.
Parties?
That's
We just
how
found
I
one sick
contract.
kid. You
My
have
sister's a
4
bitch.
parties?
I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, like if you
Okay,
just got a
no,
sick
I'm
kid and
just
like, oh, your kid's sick. Let me get my kid over there to
sorry,
get sick.
Sludge.
You
I've
spend the
just
night.
realised that my sister's an absolute bitch because I remember drinking out of a bottle that was right by my bedside, which means she probably drank out of it because she was the one who brought home the chicken pox.
Yeah, probably.
Fucking bitch.
Yeah, no, it's by the way, chickenpox parties is distinctly a white people thing.
I was gonna
Like the
say,
chicken
but
dance, like the chicken dance.
Yeah. It's very distinctly found amongst Caucasian households predominantly.
oh,
I didn't know this was a thing. Like I had gotten chickenpox at school when I was a kid, but I found out when I was like 23 or 24 that like all of my Caucasian friends were like, oh, like we're gonna have a chickenpox party because this one person's kid got chickenpox and we want all our kids to have it so they can get over it and not have to worry about it later in life. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? This is
that
why
sounds
quarantines
horrible.
exist.
I was misdiagnosed. I was misdiagnosed with meningitis and was kept in a room by myself in the fucking hospital for 6 months
Damn.
until they realized it wasn't meningitis.
Yeah, I got
Then, like,
chickenpox 4 times
it's
when
one
I
of
was
the
a
reasons
kid.
I'm blind. It's one of the reasons I'm blind and use a wheelchair. They misdiagnosed me
Yeah.
several fucking times. One of which was with meningitis, and that delayed obviously my treatment. And now I'm blind
Yeah.
and in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I got chickenpox 4 times when I was in school, and it turns out that I'm immunocompromised. I have
How'd
Crohn's
you get it
disease
4 times?
because kids are disgusting little petri dishes.
I got poison samuk, or poison ivy one time in
Sumac.
Mexico. Yeah, when I was using the restroom outside, it messed me
Ugh,
up.
I
And my
bet.
ex
So
actually cut herself really close to her beehole, and we found out they can't stitch that beehole. She got lucky.
Damn.
So basically what you're saying is if I was to now drink out of a cup that someone with chickenpox had drunk out of, unknowingly because I can't see their chickenpox, I would then recontract chickenpox.
Oh, you'd get shingles.
What the fuck are shingles?
It's why we don't pass the
Chickenpox for
duchy to
adults.
the people with the herpes or the cold sores because we don't want that.
Fun fact is 98% of the human population
entirely has one form of herpes or another. So good fucking luck, my dude.
Damn.
Whatever. Oh boy, it is for me. Give me a challenge.
Shit.
Yeah.
Poison ivy could be an STD.
I mean, technically it could, but it's not so much of a disease as it is like so poison ivy and poison sumac and poison oak and all those things. The reason why they are transmissible is because it's an oil that is left over on your body.
It's on the fern tree as well. It makes you itch like crazy. Unless you're Native American.
That oil propagates in your own skin oils, so like sweating and whatnot. When you're scratching it, you're spreading it to further pores, and your pores sweat and produce more because it's kind of like you remember itching powder from back in the day?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
No,
it's like that.
Though.
It's like that stuff. Like no matter what, like even if you only have a little bit of it, you can spread that shit around because it just takes a couple little fucking granules of that shit to drive somebody insane.
I don't know, those like scurvy and stuff when people were getting homeless, they're getting like old timey diseases from just not washing.
Well,
you got to like
scurvy is from a distinct lack of vitamins.
And like people who would like inject would get like open wounds and then they fester and like bugs would get in it. That was crazy.
Yeah, that is nasty. That's just improper fucking care. That's one of the reasons why I run harm reduction.
They got the trank, the trank they were doing in like the certain areas when they couldn't get.
You're talking about Flocka?
And stuff like. No, not the Flocka. It was like this horse stuff that they would shoot in, and it would like give big old X's.
Fentanyl, xylazine, methocarbazine.
Yeah, it was like the F word, but they had mixed it with this horse stuff. And when you would inject it, it would like X out and black up.
What's Flocka? Oh man,
Primo. Yeah, Flocka was bad.
Go ahead and just talk to your Google and say, "Hey Google, what's Flocka?"
And we grew up with Dustin Sherm, and Sherm was crazy because Sherm has been crazy.
Waka Flocka Flame. That's the only time I ever.
Yeah. Oh, also ask your phone what Jankum is.
Yeah, the only time I've heard Flocka. The only time I've heard of Flocka is in Orange is the New Black because that was one of the characters.
Yeah, Flocka is
Flocka. She's
Flocka
skinny
is
in Spanish. We're talking about
basalt.
Flocka. Yeah, it's like an intense form of hallucinogens that is almost like a PCP. It makes you screaming strong and crazy. But she was.
Let's
Flocka.
not say specific.
This is
Hey,
Flocka. Sorry.
Let's not say specific things like like primary care physician.
Yep.
Flocka and other things like that are okay because it's not quite known all that well. But let's try to.
So during my one of my surgeries in 2023, my brain surgeries, I was given Fent during the surgery. When I woke up, my mum tells me the story. I have no recollection of what the fuck I was doing. I chased the doctor around the hospital completely naked, telling him that, accusing him of accusing me of sexual assault.
That sounds about Fetty.
Get it on video.
that sounds
my mum
rather
was
Fetty.
absolutely mortified. They called her into the recovery room. They don't usually call relatives or whatever into the recovery room. Like you're not supposed to have anyone there. But they called her into the recovery room and they asked her if I'd had elements of psychosis in the past or this was my like regular temperament. And she said absolutely not. My mum was so mortified at the way I was behaving that she actually had to walk back out.
Wow.
I've seen people so intoxicated they have called the police when they have been taken for their money at the guy's house. And then they'll send people out there to like get them off the property and they'll get arrested down the street after calling the police about my sale didn't go through. It's insane. People are crazy.
Dude, the next time, the next surgery I had was 4 days later. The one thing I said to them, I said, no matter how much pain I'm in, do not give me Fent. I am not reacting like that again.
Absolutely not. That is one of the substances out there that are the most damaging.
Yeah.
When I'd heard that they'd given me Fent, so I'd just woken up out of my surgery, and when I'd heard that they'd given me Fent, I said, you do realize people unalive from that, right? In America, it's a big like thing. They're like, oh no, but that's
Constantly.
misuse. They're like, oh that no, but that's misuse of fent. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh
And
no,
then
they just sneak it into everything.
the reaction started happening, and I don't have any recollection of it. But
Intravenously, when I got it, it was really nice, but
yeah,
outravenously
but
or
then
any other way,
the next time I went
non-intravenously,
in
very
for
dangerous.
surgery, I withstood the pain. I literally just I handled the pain, and I wouldn't allow them to give me fent to calm it down.
Yeah, no, every time I go to the hospital for anything major and serious, I let them know that I will not be taking any narcotics. I will not be taking any painkillers. Nothing. I refuse. I'm 20 years clean. I don't need that shit.
And it's also a thing where I don't even, on a day-to-day basis, even if I'm in absolute agony, I don't even take a pill of paracetamol. I handle my pain so that I can gauge whether it's serious enough to go to hospital or not.
Yeah. I would much rather know what my body is doing so I know whether or not I'm in danger.
Exactly. So I don't take any sort of painkillers or anything. I deal with the pain just so that I know how serious it is and how worried I need to be. So that's probably why I had such an adverse reaction. The next surgery I had, they gave me morphine, which didn't even touch the sides of the pain, but at least it didn't give me the reaction that fent did.
Substances and regulated goods. Don't say the word specifically, please.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I have to remind people fairly frequently.
What, the word that ends in fiend?
Yeah. More than just that too, like the brown leaf, the green leaf, any of the powdered party preferences, lots of things.
Horrible dates, minor dates.
Yeah, you can't talk about a lot of stuff here on TikTok without getting deregulated.
Religion, basically anything that can be bullied or considered hate speech.
But freedom of speech is a real thing, right?
No,
it's not.
This isn't a government platform. This is a privatized platform, so they have rules because of the e-commerce.
Yep.
We agreed upon.
All right, everybody. I've been on here for 4 hours now, and I am burnt out for the evening. I really appreciate you all being here, especially for so long. This has been a really fun conversation, and I appreciate y'all kind of just sitting with me through the educational stuff. If there's anything y'all would like me to throw together some research on so that we can talk about it for a future episode, please feel free to DM me, and I will put things together so that we can have that conversation. Okay.
Tarot, real or not? Do you believe in it, host?
No, we're not going to talk about beliefs because that is a personal thing that belongs to each person individually.
Well, are you a proponent of the self-knowledge of tarot?
I am pagan myself, but that's mine.
Nice. So you do love the stars.
I love lots of things. Technically, I'm an animist. I believe everything that exists is part of the same giant web of energy and consciousness, and that everything has spirit and soul. Hey, Baby Hulk. You know, that guy's first name or last profile name was Panksy Pancakes. We decided to go with Baby Hulk because I don't know why. I don't quite understand yet. How you doing, buddy?
The other night, I set up my new tarot thing, and I was doing a reading while we were online. And I got a crazy reading that had a lot to do about you. I'll send it to you later.
Oh, nice. How to do it with me?
All right, guys, I'm gonna head off.
Okay. Thank you all for being here.
You have
I really
a lovely
appreciate
day,
y'all.
and I look forward to catching you on the next one.
Absolutely. If there's anything you'd like for me to discuss in the next live, please go ahead and just message me. Okay.
Of course, thank you. I will do.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all take
Right.
care.
Until we meet again,
Bye.
Yeah. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Peace, guys.